Yeah. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Broke on advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the decks, you're not bullish enough. Traded in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recon. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity, flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gon' end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me, no way. OnChain revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah. Nicky's. Yeah. OnChain revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, chin. Yeah, send it to the deck. Yeah, sell it through the spec. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy on the channel to cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the OnChain Hour, and today is going to be amazing, guys, because it's time. It's time. It's bull run time. I'm convinced right now that we're about to head into something truly special in the next 3 to 6 months. There's a lot of reasons pointing that way. The main reason is we're about to enter a rate cutting cycle, which means potentially 2 to 3 rate cuts in the next 4 months. What does that mean for markets? That is risk on. You are seeing right now momentum change that went from Bitcoin to Ethereum now to the large caps. Guys, this is what we're talking about. This is the first rotation of possibly 6. Last bull run, we had about 6 rotations of Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then large caps, then your micro and small caps, right? And I think we're about to see that. The retail only wakes up to when the small caps are moving, because that's when you see the 50, the 60, the 70, and so on and so on, hundreds and hundreds of just amazing gains. I'm really excited for this show today because I did find a sector that is really looking small, but this sector could really take off. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. We have the great Jake Gallen joining us at 12:30 today. We're going to be talking Agent Hustle. We're going to be talking Migratefun, and we're going to be talking, with Emblem Vault now all under one roof, and that roof is Agent Hustle. So we're going to be really digging into that, guys. This is I'm just so happy right now. I feel like, the last 2 years have been rough, especially, outside of Bitcoin, right? It's just been down only, even on layer 1 Bitcoin. It's just been terrible with a little bit of pockets of hope. But I feel like we're finally getting that. I feel like we can call this the new hope, right? I'm excited, guys. Let's get this show started right now. Bring my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's up, man? You ready for Crypto Strikes Back, the new hope?
I am. I'm ready. I'm ready. I think the entire space is ready, but I think there's some data that's coming in, possibly, right? We've had some. The problem is a lot of the data does initially go and affect Bitcoin and Ethereum initially, and then we got to wait and see. Okay, are these other mid caps going to start to come along, and how far on the risk curve are we going to get? But that, some speculation coming out from some big TradFi entities calling for rate cuts for the rest of the year, which would be, I think, really bullish for those mid and lower micro caps, because you're talking about 3 rate cuts in a row. People are spending more money. They're feeling more confident with the economy at that point, or at least their pockets, to where they can make some decisions. And I think we'll get more further in a risk on environment.
Yeah, 100%. And in case anyone's wondering, just real quick housekeeping, we did change the Emblem Vault Web3 partner to Agent Hustle. That was the team has asked us for that. So now we are officially partnered with Agent Hustle. I love saying that. OnChain Revolution is a partner
Every day I'm hustling
of the next $1 billion potential AI coin, and that is Agent Hustle. Just super excited about that. Like I said, 12:30 later today. But let's kind of jump right into it. Let's just jump into a TK update. Not really much to report, but I got to report on my guy Trench Kitty right now, sitting at about 56K. Just going sideways right now, waiting for the runes to kind of move. Me and you are both, I think, skeptic about runes at this point. So it's kind of like
I think runes have their moment regardless.
Yeah.
There's no way that dog doesn't have a moment being backed by Kraken and also a treasury company. Yes, people can say, well, that's a small, they're barely publicly listed and all these things, but look, that they fit the criteria, right? They are publicly listed and they are buying good amounts of dog. So dog is really going to dictate the rest of the runes market, in my opinion. But I do think that the runes market does have a push up this Q4, even if Spark tokens take off and stuff like that. I truly think that, because you still have some strong accounts that push behind it in that big dog community. But we'll see, and time will only tell, right? We can't look into the future and turn 10 pages at a time. We got to go page by page here.
Yeah. The problem is, do you remember when runes started coming out, the pre-runes? That's kind of was the end of BRC20s, right? In the sense of momentum. I don't mean price, because price did keep running a little bit further, but like momentum really died out and everyone was kind of chasing the attention was chasing these runes. I feel like that same thing's kind of happening right now. People are kind of getting ready for these Spark tokens. And then obviously there is some Spark tokens that are trading, but the momentum seems to be shifting here, especially with Magic Eden adding this new tab here called Bitcoin DeFi. And we're going to get into this later as well. But this is momentum shifting. Magic Eden has chosen their winner.
Well, they definitely rolled the dice on this. They publicly pretty much, made a statement saying we're betting on this. But remember that Spark is also a layer 2 approach. It's not, that native layer 1. Yes, they do have that Lightning approach, which, most people say that is really, from a technical standpoint, the only true layer 2. But we'll see what happens here, right? Runes has been, multiple times attempted to be eliminated from the Bitcoin ecosystem, and it every single time it has survived and had a moment or two and then went back. That's the problem, is that it's I feel like it's like a cat, right? The 9 lives. But the problem is it will get it'll have a death and then it will resurrect, but then it's not necessarily super aggressive, but then 1 out of the next 2 or 3 will be super aggressive. So I think the biggest thing is to watch how it responds in the Q4 kind of risk on environment, because if it is truly a strong risk on environment in Q4 this year, then there should be enough liquidity to have a runes run as well. We'll see.
I guess it depends on how many people shift, right? If I'm somebody who's thinking about shifting to that Spark ecosystem, right? In the sense of there's going to be a lot of opportunity there, and I don't see much opportunity in runes at all. And I'm an opportunity chaser. Like my entire, everything I do in life is check and search for opportunity and find it. And and that's kind of why we're so bullish on Agent Hustle. We feel like that is huge opportunity there. But I'm just saying, I go for opportunity. I don't really see that opportunity in runes right now. Maybe from exchanges, but I mean, Kraken, the listing, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's enough to kind of push this to Valhalla.
Well, you got to remember though, like if we do have a true kind of retail running to our market or our industry, they are going to go through Kraken. They're going to go through those type of
Yeah.
doors, right? So
Yeah.
Kraken, that's why I feel like runes will still, and plus like every time people counts runes completely out, they never are. They just never are. And so there's always going to be parts of that community like Bongo. Yes, sometimes
Yeah.
he's more quiet, but
He's on Solana now, bro. He's a
yeah,
pump
yeah,
fun guy.
yeah. I saw that, but I mean, look, dude. Like he went to the Hong Kong Bitcoin conference.
Yeah.
He was Billy. He was dressed in the
Yeah.
Billy suit. So, you know what I'm saying. So there will always be parts of those runes communities that stick with it, and sometimes they're just more quiet once runes are quiet, and then they become loud once runes are loud again. And you have to think about like what are the triggers, what can get runes loud again, and it's obviously Kraken. It's those that small treasury company for Dog, and it's Leonidas, right? That has a big following. So I 1000% don't count them out. Like I actually think that runes has its moment this Q4.
But I hear you say that, but I also hear Block saying that about BRC20s, and it's like no. it's like no. You know what I mean? Like I get it. But when Bongo comes back after wearing a Billy costume in Hong Kong and immediately goes into Solana pump fun tokens, it makes me think that something went seriously wrong over there.
Well,
I
mean, you also have to think about what a bull market looks like, right? So if it's something that we've recently experienced, and we like, for example, let's talk about like last Q4, right, of 2024, not cycle 2024. That was pretty bullish, but it wasn't the bull market, at that time, but it was a pretty good push up. If we get just maybe a 2x of that, I think there's not going to be a lot of liquidity to go around to these other opportunities. But if we get even in between of that and 2021's bull market, if we get something in between, then I think there will be enough liquidity to hit at least another meta protocol, a standard, or maybe two. Who knows? You still have Ordi that's in the like hundreds of millions of market cap. Sats is right under 100 million. I don't count Merle to that like culture just because it is at a fundamental level. It started as a BRC20, but you get what I'm saying. So if there's enough liquidity, there could be a Sparks, Runes, and BRC20 kind of rotation. We could see it, but it needs to be the right conditions. If we just get a 2x from last Q4 of 2024, I think we're probably going to be fighting for liquidity for one of the standards.
Yeah, I think you're right. And to me, it's kind of wait and see moment, but I know where I'm putting my bets. Like, and I like, I guess that's where it comes down to. I think getting the first couple tokens that launch on Magic Eden that are going to be,
that's an opportunity for sure. I'm not saying that that's not, I think it is a big opportunity. We're also, this is going to show us how influential Magic Eden actually is too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if they do roll their dice here and they have a launch pad with AMM and liquidity pools, that means that and they've been pretty quiet about runes. Once runes is extremely volatile from a social level. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the difference between, in my opinion, BRC20 and runes, is that BRC20s like will be like, like this, and every once in a blue moon go like this and then continue that way. But like with runes, it's like this up and then down and then up and then down.
I mean, I feel like you just described the same thing twice.
No. It's more volatile than the other one. You know what I mean? Like I feel like BRC20s is way more quiet for a longer period of time, and then like you'll have, because I mean, like you can't count just Block, being loud and that
Crypto
being,
Calio coming out and saying Ordi, and that had a huge pump then, and then Udi came out.
But like think about runes though, right? Runes is constant. Leonidas is constantly holding spaces, constantly. So like people try to get that momentum catching off of his, what he does, and then like the cracking listing, and then you have Vincent, you have more like I guess people with presence in their army on the rune side than you do for BRC20, right? That have more influence too. And so that's why I say that like I can't count runes out. And honestly, if there's enough liquidity, I don't necessarily even count BRC 2.0 out, but there has to be enough liquidity for that And
It's
that's going to
not.
be really upon the Chinese whales for BRC 2.0, because look, they might not stick with it, you know what I mean, and or they might be quiet until the time is right, and then they deploy liquidity. But they're busy right now with like Odin, the alkanes, and they're split up a little bit right now too. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out in Q4.
I think you're right. I think Sparks takes from everywhere though. I think a huge number of Odin degens go to Sparks because it's the same process. You bridge in your Bitcoin and you play. It's the same thing, right? And I think there's gonna be a lot more opportunity with over there because there's new stuff and there's new participants and stuff like that. So I don't know. I see Spark kind of taking it, but we're gonna get into that a little bit more in depth later. But it's just so interesting. It's just fun to talk about. But let's jump into the main headline of the day, which is Valhalla ahead. Morgan Stanley sees 3 2025 rate cuts. RWA Onchain hits 29 billion. So let's get in the first part of that. Morgan Stanley came out and said 3 rate cuts for this year. I think this is something we've both expected. Let's check out the Polymarket screen real quick too before I get your.
I wasn't that confident in it, but I knew it was a possibility, and we still have to see it play out. But I'm actually getting more confident of the 50-point cut this time, and probably we get 3.
Well, it's been dropping drastically. It's down 9% today.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it dropped 4% yesterday and then 9% today. That's weird. So I wonder why.
Well, everyone's kind of going with Morgan Stanley here and saying instead of doing a double one this time, they're going to do a very slow 3-3. So everyone's kind of thinking that instead of doing 2 and 1, they're going to do 1, 2, and 3.
All 25
basis points. Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like we need a 50 in there.
I feel like we need a 50 as well. But markets are forward looking, so we're all looking to March. What happens in March? Well, this guy's face right here will be changed to a new person, right? So he's gone in March, and then we can potentially have someone very dovish, handpicked by Donald J. Trump, someone who said he wants rates down to 1%, which is a long way down from where we are now. So, I think that eventually has to get kind of put in soon, right? I mean, it has to get baked in soon, and I think it gets baked in here during these first 3.
Yeah, let's see. It's starting to pick back up right now. So do we get a quick 5-day bake-in? Let's see.
And the thing is too, so in September, they said they will be starting their initial phase of finding the next Fed chair. So they're starting now. So if they come out and they pick somebody, that alone, his voice now will every time he comes out and speaks, whoever this person's going to be is going to be absolutely he's going to be able to move markets just by him talking, even before he's Fed chair. So if he comes out in December and says, thank you, Mr. President, I love your nomination, Congress, this is what I want to do, it's going to be like,
yeah, we need to get this economy going and stuff, those type of keyword phrases and stuff, and I think we can put together a strong strategy for that in 2026 or something.
Exactly, dude. That alone, dude. Like I said, markets are forward looking. It does not look backwards. It looks forward only. It doesn't even look at the present day. Whatever's happening today has already been baked in. They're always baking in forward looking opportunities, and this is the biggest one that we might have ever see. I mean, 1% interest rates in the next, potentially 12 months could be insane. I mean, that's a long way down.
Yeah.
All right. So BlackRock to tokenize funds with real world assets and stocks on blockchain. We do know they have, I think it's, what is that? Omni, not Omni. What's that blockchain called? It just slipped my mind. Ondo. They have Ondo, and they've been doing that for a while. But this is something new right here. They're exploring launching tradable ETF tokens on the blockchain. Why the hell would anyone buy a Bitcoin ETF on the blockchain when you could just buy Bitcoin or wrapped Bitcoin? I don't understand this. Can you? I mean, do you comprehend why anyone would buy this?
It technically is a wrapped, another version of wrapped Bitcoin, right? So, this to me is a marketing thing, but I mean, who does better than that than TradFi? I feel like they can put makeup on a freaking pig and make it look good in terms of a product, right? Yeah. And for people, for us, we know how chains work and we know what the ETF is about. We're in this every day. But like a newbie, they won't think that deep, right? They won't care as long as they can make money off of it, so and they trust these entities, right? The ones that have accounts with consultants and stuff like that. So they're looking at this. BlackRock is looking at this on how they can make money off of synthetic ETFs, in my opinion. Like, how can we get them to stake these, or how can we, and then we make a fee in between, whatever, right? They're all planning new revenue streams and business models and products and stuff. That's what TradFi is doing. That's what these Silicon Valley investors are looking at. That's what new projects that are coming from Web 2 are looking for. They're not sitting over here saying, you know, what can I build that's like so innovative? They know what's worked in their world, and they're going to bring a lot of that over here. But I do think that the innovative projects that take advantage of AI, and I know we're going to get into robotics later and stuff like that, we'll have a big opportunity as well. But don't get it twisted. You know, they're looking for new fees, but that's good because that's going to bring in more liquidity and opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. And then just topping it all off with the RWA chart here has been just massively up only since 2023. Absolutely insanity. And I do think we see about $1 trillion of RWA. And I think it's pretty easy because, you know, I think the just tokenizing of the bonds alone can put $1 trillion in bonds on the blockchain very quickly. I think the best thing that ever happened to treasury bonds was crypto, because one, we're going to be wrapping all the money in the world on chain, which is going to allow them to add to buy treasury bonds to get yield. It's like the perfect Ponzi, and the US loves Ponzi's, right? They are a Ponzi, the money supply, and it's just funny now they're going to be able to make money on their Ponzi money. They're going to be able to get their own yield, so it's going to be pretty funny. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing houses, car notes, everything potentially on the blockchain, but that actually just being the back end for normies when they go to the DMV is just putting this in, and then it's being put on chain, right? Everything's just going to go away from this Web 2 model of cloud onto on chain, where everything is verifiable and done the right way.
Yeah, no, and let's not get it twisted. Every country's currency is technically a Ponzi, right? If you break it down,
all fiat.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is huge. I really, really hope that they are being very particular and intentional, and just, you know, making very careful decisions on who, like, the strategy with this in terms of the U.S. government, because I think it's a plan that could work. But you see other world leaders noticing it, like, you know, Putin came out and said the U.S. is trying to use crypto to eliminate their debt. They probably don't like that because, you know, they're one of the top 3 of the world powers. But that's why you got to be careful, and you got to do it, you know, the right way. But there's a big opportunity here, especially with the treasury bonds, right? Of kind of, and it's weird. It's like almost like having this new approach and new financial system, getting away from what we have done with just constant money printing to take care of our problems, putting band-aids everywhere, and being in more and more debt every year, versus entering a new system that, you know, you can look at it as a Ponzi, like you mentioned, but a way to kind of get away from that old system and start actually being productive with the US dollar and the treasury bonds, and actually giving more value to the treasury bonds than just what you're actually doing here is you're throwing another layer of value on treasury bonds. Because, you know, initially it's countries want them because the U.S. Consumer economy is the largest market in the world by a good amount, and people have confidence in that. That's the one part of confidence that they just kept buying our treasury bonds, because they feel safe, that like they can constantly earn on these, right? But now it brings another layer on top of the consumer market. So I do think that we got to figure out how to maintain that consumer market and still be number one. But now also you throw this on top of it, so it kind of alleviates a little bit of pressure on just the U.S. economy alone. You know what I mean? And so this could be really big.
Think about this, right? So you have ETH, right? And then you have STETH, right? In your words, what is STETH?
Synthetic Ethereum.
Yeah. So, but you earn a yield on, correct? From holding that version, you earn a yield. So think about you have USDC, and now imagine you have a $1 backed treasury bond, right? So let's just call it USDB, right? USD bond that is backed by $1, but actually gives you yield. Potentially, we're going to have liquid staking dollars that are giving you 4% yield because it's just $1 of a treasury bond. but you're earning 4% on that dollar. Dude, this is massive. This is absolutely massive because now we have potentially so instead of me, let's just say I sell Bitcoin one day, but instead of it selling into the dollar, I sell it into these bond dollars where I'm earning 4% on that.
So
like just,
do you think that's going to be offered to just any retail user?
I think they're going to be on chain, so it's going to be in a liquidity pool.
I wonder what they're going to do with that, because so I see your approach here, and to that that's an opportunity for everybody in the world to take advantage of. But do they want to give everybody in the world access to own bonds? Because technically you and I can go buy bonds, right?
Yeah, I can buy a bond right now on E-Trade.
So what I wonder what the demand will look like, because the demand obviously can increase tenfold, 100-fold, whatever, because you're talking about a global market now.
I'm somebody who would never buy a bond.
Global accessibility is what I should say.
Yeah, but I'm somebody who would never buy a bond. But if I'm getting 4% on my dollars from just holding it on chain, I'll buy bonds. Think about that. Think about the crypto guys who would hold bonds because it's an easy way to get 4% of your money, right? Airdrop to you or claimable on a yearly basis.
You know who does that? Huge retail whales do that.
Yeah.
So if you hear about a new chain, let's say Sui, right? And they have their first DEX that opens up. Big retail whales, they'll run to the Bitcoin and USD pairing for the LP on that DEX or something, right?
Yeah.
So because they want to go into the most safe thing and earn the highest yield at that point, whether it's 8%, 7%, because they know over time other retail whales will come in there and maybe it gets down to 6%, but they get in early. So they try to go into the safest and a risk on industry and the safest pairs, and they're always doing that. That's how you get those initial pairs up so much, right? And so I could see them running to this type of opportunity, because to them this is even more of a safe play.
I mean, this is money manager, on-chain money manager saying, hey, I can put you in USDC, or I can put you in USDCB, which is a bond backed by $1, and you can gain 4% on that, right? Let's just put 50% of your how they say 60-40 portfolios. What if that is on chain, to where you hold 60% of these USD1 or USDC or USD1 whatever backed bonds, and you're sitting there and you're getting these bonds, right? So I don't know, you're getting this yield for just holding cash. Okay, and I think that's why in the Genius Act you weren't allowed to get yield on your dollar, because I think they want this. I think they want bonds on chain, to where you're going into a bond out and back into the dollar, into the bond out, and then now you can take bonds, potentially tokenize them, put them in a liquidity pool against a USD1, and then have them trading that way too. Dude, bonds are going to be into the market so heavy, in my opinion. Trillions of dollars of bonds are coming, and not just U.S. bonds either. We might see China and Russia and stuff. It's going to get crazy, dude. It's going to get crazy. Woo, that's fun to talk about. But let's move on here. Gemini, today's the day, officially is doing their IPO, and they are joining the NASDAQ today. What do you think about Gemini now, trading under the ticker GEMI, GEMI, on the stock exchange?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of puts them in another category of being public. So in the Coinbase category, right? Kraken is about to follow suit as well. And so this is big for them. Again, though, what's the approach for businesses that have the TradFi support? Do they go the centralized exchange approach, and they just go public and they don't launch a coin? Because we don't have a Coinbase coin. Now, Coinbase did come out and say that they were going to digitize their stock. That's different, in my opinion. But it's different initially, right? I mean, so I think there needs to be a little bit of maybe not like a standard or anything like from like a regulatory entity, but it will happen, in my opinion. People will just kind of have this perception of what launching a coin means and going public means, and how that means together for the companies that are in our space, of course.
Yeah, 100%. With being able to tokenize stuff now, I mean, Gemini is basically going to have a token, right? I mean, you're right. We need regulation to come in and say, why should you even do an IPO at this point? Just launch a coin, Because if
or
you're able
merge
to
them
tokenize
or
this,
something.
well, yeah, like that's the same when the base token or the base is when they 1-to-1 their stock with a coin, and you're trading the base token over on base chain. Does it matter that it's 1-to-1 based? It doesn't matter, right? It's going to trade just like a coin would. It's going to have liquidity pools. It's going to have everything. It's going to be exactly the same as the stock. So it's not going to matter, right? So
Well, yeah,
it's
I
back
mean,
1-to-1.
they
So
can't if they're going to synthesize it, right, or make it a synthetic asset.
yeah,
They obviously have to make sure that the price is matching with an oracle and all that stuff. So yeah, that stuff won't matter really.
arbitrage.
The opportunity will be more of how can I earn off of the LP, and I think that's where institutions might come in, right, and provide liquidity and stuff like that. It's definitely going to be interesting because there has been some pushback, because Robinhood announced that they're going to digitize, come out with a bunch of these digital asset stocks, right? And we have X stock, and some people are saying, well, that's not even like a real representation and all these things. They'll make it, work. In that sense, right? That's the big bottom line. They're looking at the fees, and they will make it work somehow to where they'll build the system to where the price is not off and all those things. And it's gonna be interesting to see what that looks like in the the future, right? 5 years, because I do think there's going to be emerging in a sense, right? But then what about the companies that aren't necessarily super involved with Web3? But stocks are stocks at that point, right? Stocks are gonna they'll bring them over if there's a demand for them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, we could be trading, I don't know, Macy's as a coin, right? What does it matter? If it's a stock or not, to us, it's going to be a coin. So it's just one of those things where, if I can make money on it, holding it, I might hold it. But it's this one of those things where it's going to be supply and demand, right? The more of a demand, the more they'll bring over of that stock, right? So you might see it originally like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just kind of seeing who wants to buy it, right? So, and if you can make a few bucks off tokenizing it, there's gonna be a lot of people coming into the markets like, all right, let's tokenize this, tokenize that, tokenize this. The only problem is like you could have X stocks version of Macy's, and then you could have base chains version of Macy's and stuff like that. So it might be it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot to kind of figure out and make sure that you got the right one and all that stuff too. But I'm sure there's going to be sites and stuff fixing that stuff. So, but that stuff is boring. Let's kind of move along here. The first US Memecoin ETF, DOJE. I do like how they named it that, Doge, like Department of Justice, is now expected to launch mid next week per Eric Buchanan, right? How's his name? Balchunas?
Oh, I can't
Eric
remember how to
Balchunas.
pronounce. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I looked into this a little bit on, looking into it. You're like, oh, wow, this is cool. We're getting a Dogecoin ETF maybe next week, but gotta look further. So structured more like a futures derivatives fund. It doesn't hold Doge directly in the U.S. custody. Instead, it gets exposure via a Cayman Islands subsidiary that can trade Doge futures. So very similar to how Alibaba and a lot of these Chinese stocks are traded, right? They're just kind of wrapped versions of it, but they're only trading the futures of this. So it's marketed as the first US Memecoin ETF and tied to Dogecoin, but it's not pure spot Doge ETF like Bitcoin and Ethereum have now. So what do you think about this? Do you think this will... Isn't it though?
It's
like
risky.
you see this,
Riskier.
right? You see this and you're like, oh wow, this is awesome. But then you dig deeper and it's like it's not really holding any Doge.
I mean, but also like the name of it is like DOJE, like Doge. So something weird, right? Something weird. But yeah, I mean, need more details. How is it? Where's the risk like mitigation? Like how do you how risky is this basically, right? Because it sounds risky to me for an ETF.
It's going to follow the Dogecoin price, they're saying. So it's going to be like I don't understand how futures trade. I'm not sure if you do, but apparently like when you take it, like when you like play a futures contract of Nvidia, you're not actually like buying the Nvidia stock, you're actually betting on the price go up. something
So
like that?
I mean that. So futures is basically perps, right? So, but
Okay.
unless they're going to be a part of the the liquidity part, right? So if they're going to be adding liquidity for futures, Doge futures or whatever, and you can earn that way, I don't know. I
Well,
just
it says it
like
doesn't hold Doge directly.
yeah, they wouldn't. The platforms would hold it. They would put up collateral, right? But then they would earn the funding fees and stuff like that, basically. So those funding fees that users pay, they're paying to liquidity providers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So on both sides, right? Like either the sell side or the buy side. So I wonder if that has something to do with it, because that sounds more safe for sure. And I think
Yeah.
Athena does that a little bit with their algorithmic stablecoin, because they have collateral, but then they use like they benefit off the sell side funding rate or something like that, right? Something like that. So maybe they're taking advantage of that. But I definitely want to dive in to see, because that changed my whole perspective of that.
Yeah. 100%. All right, getting to the next thing here. Polymarket predicts 96% chance native markets win Hyperliquid's USDH stablecoin.
Wow.
And I did a little research there. So Native Markets is a newly formed organization put together specifically to compete for the chance to issue the USDH. So it's a brand new company. The upcoming native stablecoin for Hyperliquid. Leadership includes Max Feige, a Hyperliquid investor / advisor, MC Ladder, it sounds like a rapper, formerly president and CEO of Uniswap Labs, and Anish, I'm not even going to try this one, Agnorty, blockchain
Proceeds
researcher.
to try it.
Yeah, I tried anyway. I tried my best here, guys, with these names, paradigm. So that's pretty big. Native proposes a splitting interest yield so that the portion goes back into Hype buybacks, the native token of Hyperliquid, and via assistance fund, and the other portion supports ecosystem growth. PayPal actually came out and put out a tweet, which is very weird. They said, "We're all in. Let's expand in the Hyperliquid community together across the broad network, PayPal and Venmo accounts." And this is off of what we read yesterday from the Paxos thing, how they want to commit to this. So this is all about. So right now, USDC is the number one traded coin. All the pairs are wrapped with USDC. So USDC is earning that 4% yield, and nothing is going into Hyperliquid. There's no, there's no reason to do it. All right. So they want to have USDH, so they're able to basically help the environment of the ecosystem with that 4%. I mean, 4% of, so let's just say $200 billion is an insane amount of money, right? It's a lot. So it's one of those things where, so having USDH, they're going to be able to, make the ecosystem better and stuff like that. And eventually they want to get USDC completely off and just have all the pairs in USDH. So you're sitting there, right? Let's just say you're allowed to pick. Are you going to pick, the native guys who say they're going to, with the yield, they're going to take 2% of the yield and buy back the token. And they're going to take the other percent of that and actually help the ecosystem grow, meaning like bring in developers, build stuff, build infrastructure and stuff like that? Or would you rather go with someone like Paxos, who's going to, like, right off the bat, going to get the Hyperliquid token on Venmo, on PayPal, going to have USDH on Venmo, on PayPal. So no
Kraken
more
too, I think, right?
And Kraken, 100%. Yesterday's news, Kraken came out and said that, hey, if you guys list Paxos, we'll list the Hyperliquid token and the token. So now no more bridging. You can just withdraw from the exchange right on the chain, just like you would do with
no
every
fees
other Solana. No fees. So where would you go if I was going to say, Yagobi, you're allowed to pick this? Going with Paxos, or you're going with native here?
I'm kind of starting to think that like native might be like an extension of Hyperliquid's team too, right?
Yeah.
But if
they're
not,
investors, but yeah.
Let's just say that native is a separate team within Hyperliquid's ecosystem, right? The one reason I would go with them is because I feel like they're close by. They're native to my ecosystem. I probably wouldn't have to worry about the U.S. government coming in, at least like, anytime they wanted to, like, freeze the stable coins and all those things, right? Second would be obviously 2% of that would be huge for buyback. So you're kind of layering on top of what you're already doing with your perps and leverage platform fees. So I would say I would be more inclined to go towards native, right? And if they're talking about the other 2%, that's why I think that they're an extension of them, is because like the other 2% is going to build out more ecosystems. Where does native benefit, right? But and then so I would go that route. But I would say, other than being nervous about the U.S. government being able to freeze stable coin, the other option is very attractive as well, because now you're talking about one marketing juggernaut plan approach with huge brands like PayPal and Kraken, so you can really onboard the West even more, which they've done a good job already. I mean, a lot of people use them via VPN, but I think that they're afraid of being able to freeze the stablecoin. And I'll tell you why. If there is some sort of attack on them and that happens, they could lose everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Because they won't have the ability to kind of like do all these things to mitigate the attack, right? Or to try to fix the attack situation as quickly.
Well, either way, right? If they're going to be trading in the U.S. at all, right, they're going to need to, be with the Genius Act.
Yeah.
And if you do, go the Genius Act way, you could go the Tether way and say, screw the Genius Acts, we're not playing by your rules. Like, I kind of think that's how you're kind of thinking with this, to where maybe
Tether
created
they created a new stable coin though.
Yeah, I'm just saying with this one being very similar. Let's just say they want to make this similar to how Tether is, right? Where they're just like, we're not going to listen to what you're doing. We'll create another version, but this one right here is going to be out of your reach. It's not traded in the US, nothing like that, right? Because you need a VPN to trade on Hyperliquid now, right? So but for me though, the hardest part of any blockchain, let me ask you this: what is the hardest part of any blockchain out there? Like, what is the main thing that every blockchain wants?
To stay decentralized?
Well, no.
Security first.
Well, yeah, okay. So what's the second thing? The second thing would be onboarding, right?
Okay.
And this is the
Volume.
ultimate onboarding, right? The ultimate onboarding is Venmo and PayPal, to where I can come on there, buy the stablecoin, and withdraw it immediately to my wallet, right? That is, and it's the ultimate off ramp as well. I'm done with Hyperliquid. I need to, pay my mortgage. I would do the same thing. I would send my USDH to PayPal, Venmo, sell it there for regular dollars, and withdraw into my bank account. So, but that is the ultimate onboarding and offboarding. But it doesn't seem like Hyperliquid or the validators really want that.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think it's more of control over the situation, right? Because obviously it looks really attractive, and to be honest, I'm really impressed by Hyperliquid, because they're being courted by the big, PayPal and Kraken, and it seems like they really want this deal to go through with Paxos. But I think they're just I think they look at it. They're probably doing the the pros and cons of, okay, well, we kind of already have like a large portion of the Western market, because they just use VPNs anyways, right? And we can have a little bit lower risk with the native token in terms of other governments and stuff stepping in. But like you said, if they do want to come into the Western markets, more specifically the United States, then whatever native and stuff is going to have to comply with the Genius Act and all that stuff. So that could happen anyways. But I just don't know if they're saying we don't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. And then this one was funny though. Athena's like, we're gonna withdraw our bid, right? But it's like, we didn't want you guys anyway, right? It was you guys were never involved, but it's like, you know what? We're gonna withdraw. Founder Guy Young said community concerns that Athena is not a Hyperliquid native team. So they're just like, we're done. We're not.
Exactly. Because like we're not gonna get picked anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which do you think this ends up pissing off? Like, if they stay with native, do you think this makes the other entities, like, pisses them off?
No, because you know, it's so that's
business.
no, it's the validator. So it's Jeff doesn't choose, right? No one from the Hyperliquid Foundation really gets to choose. I mean, they do get to choose with their hype though, but they don't, like I said, they're only 30%, 20% of the supply. So it's still another 30% that you could win over to vote your way, right? Because you need 51% of the entire staked hype to vote your way. Right. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, the validators do what's best for the validators. The validators do what's best for the chain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, or what benefits their
The
bags
best
and
for the
all this.
chain,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
hype number go up is technology at the end of the day. So that's something we always talk about. Yeah, man. But let's jump into the next thing here, which is the crypto fear and greed. So woo, feels good to be back, baby. Okay, so last week we were in the 50. Oh, sorry, last week we're 41. Yesterday we were 47. We're in the next layer here, but barely. Where do you think we are?
51.
Pretty damn close, 50. I'll give it to you. Right there, man. We are back. I feel it, dude. I feel it in the markets right now that we are back, and I do think this is the last time we'll see the 40s. You know, until the bear market. I don't think we'll ever see the 40s again. And I'm gonna put my stamp on that, guys. I'm gonna say if we are, I'll do something. I'll give away something or something. But I don't think we'll ever be back in the 40s again.
Yeah, we'll see. I agree. I mean, unless there's horrible headlines or something like that happens, but I doubt it. I mean, we got, you know, we're going into the final stretch here. So I agree with that.
100%. All right, let's jump into the next thing here. Let's get into the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles. Sorry. Brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura, these guys are live right now. You guys can go there and get in a trade. See, I am in a trade right now. I'm down $5 on my trade, but it doesn't matter because I am earning points here that I'm going to be able to compete. And this is so I was in first place, and now I got smacked in the second place, which I'm okay with. I just want to be a part of this because I know the points are going to be very, very good. So what happens with points? I think we all can do some math here. With 1 + 1, it always equals 2. So you can take that as you want. And then you have to remember Botonics is giving away the biggest Bitcoin airdrop ever. And that'll be to users of the chain. How do you use the chain? Well, you use Artura.finance and apps like it to kind of get a part of that. So not only am I, you know, in a trade here that I can potentially make money with, but I'm also earning points from Artura, but I'm also earning potential Bitcoin from Botonics. So guys, get over here, start trading today. Referral programs, vaults, everything you guys need to potentially get as much points as you absolutely need and want for get some free money in your pocket, guys. Come over here and use it today at Artura.finance.
Absolutely excited for what that team is bringing to the Bitcoin ecosystem. But before we get into some Bitcoin price action, brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Help us out on the YouTube side. Smash that like, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. On the X side, let's share the space, guys. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Onboarding is one of the main reasons why we do this. And so help us out by sharing the space. Same thing with Abstract. Share that link. And then you got Twitch, Kick, Spotify, and of course Rumble. But getting some Bitcoin price action right now. That was actually ETH, but let's start with Bitcoin here. Look, so it looks like we wicked up late yesterday at 116.3. So we were able to kind of push through a little bit of that resistance that we had yesterday, but then the late night hours leading into the early morning hours, we did reverse that. But it looks like we are trying to get out of the sell pressure. So the MACD is showing us that, you know, it does seem like it wants to. We can see if this is going to be a fake out very soon, in my opinion. I think the next two candles are going to be very important. You can see the MACD is weakening up here, but we need to see this blue line start to, you know, curve to the upside. It looked like it was doing that, but then it starting to reverse a little bit. We don't want to see that. We want to see this get close to that slow line and cross over it, because when you cross the blue and the orange there, the blue is the fast line, the orange is the slow. That's when you technically, for the MACD indicator, have switch momentum. So we need to see that happen and kind of get away from this reversal that we're seeing right now. The stochastics is showing that we did cross over the oversold territory right? We do need to kind of continue this journey towards the middle, at least get to that 50-point mark. We're at 32 right now. So we're still in that range of seeing a reversal back to the downside. But I think the next hour, 2 hours, I would say, will give us a more clear outlook on how we're going to head into the weekend. You can see here also we did have 1, 2, 3, 3 green hour candles. So I wouldn't be shocked if we finish this hour here in the next 11 minutes in a red candle. So maybe we hang tight here, but let's look at the support and resistance. Going back to, I always like to do 5 a.m. All right, perfect. Let's open this up a little bit here. And you can see at the 115 260 area, it is very balanced with low volume though, right? So depending on if the buy or sell bids are bigger, we're going to push that direction. Below that, we are showing some support at the 115 230 though, and above that it is balanced again. So if you look at the highest volume area down here, which is 115,000 almost exactly, it is showing that resistance is barely winning that, so it is balanced. I'm not too worried about that, but above that we're losing, right above that, and then it's kind of like back and forth, right? The support is kind of winning from the 115 100 going all the way to the 115 150. So as long as we can kind of hold where we are right now, I think we can kind of get through the sell pressure that we're seeing from the MACD momentum there. And it seems like, we're pretty balanced here. So we just need to get some, bigger buy bids come in. Plus above that, there's like not very much volume, right? So the liquidity is pretty thin up here. So if we can push, we can really, try to get back to that 116. But I don't think it's going to happen right away unless we get a good big headline or something like that. So kind of have to let this, play out, right? Meaning that we'll probably play ping pong here for a little bit until we can officially say that we're out of the sell pressure on the MACD and we're seeing more of domination on the buy side for the VRVP here. So that is what I'm seeing for the hour chart. Really, I think best case scenario is really hang out here while it ping pongs and then get some more, buy bids in this region right here, pushes up to the lower volume area, and then we can kind of start to cruise to finish our Friday off, but we'll see if we get that. On the 4 hour chart, really want to, see some buy pressure come in, because if we do kind of the opposite of what I said, right? Hang out here and go up. If we do the opposite of that, hang out here and go down, and it gets a little aggressive when we get down below 115, we're now talking about the high 114 region to mid 114 region. We could lose this buy pressure heading into Saturday, which, to be honest, even if that happened, as long as it's not like bleeding out and there's no reason for that to happen, there's no reason for that to happen. We're expecting a rate cut next week. We got good economic data this week. If anything, it'll just be kind of a pendulum swing to the downside. Then I would be okay, because we could see maybe a small sell pressure session for maybe the second half of today and Saturday and maybe the first part of Sunday, and then ending Sunday we kick it off to the upside. We'll see. That's just obviously a speculative kind of play out, but what I am seeing here is, if we want to keep this buy pressure for the MACD here, we do need to see some larger buy bids push us up, get back closer to the 116,000 area. Okay, so that is what the 4 hour is looking like for us. I feel good regardless, because I was talking to Shizzy about this too, heading into the weekend. I trade a little bit right now, just very conservative, but it's like, we had a pretty good second half of yesterday with some pullback into the night, early this morning, a little bit of, ping ponging. I'm okay if we ping pong a little bit to the downside for Saturday. Saturday is going to be a low, thin liquidity day anyways, probably lower volume, just kind of scalper type day. So if we get below 115, maybe into the mid 114s, I'm okay with that, even low 114s, because I think Sunday will be a more of an opportunity if we get that to the upside. So don't freak out. I think what we're just seeing right now is just kind of, like I said, a ping pong kind of back and forth, and we'll see how the rest of Friday plays out and give us very clear picture of Saturday and possibly an opportunity on Sunday to the upside if you're bullish. All right, the daily looks good, consistent here. We're seeing this uptrend. We're seeing the MACD look really good here. How does this kick into hyperdrive though? Because we could see it kick into hyperdrive, you know, getting some bullish momentum Sunday night, knowing that we're going to get a rate cut Wednesday. And the speculation now turns into not if we are going to get a rate cut, but will we get a 50 basis point or 25 basis point? Polymarket, if you stay true to Polymarket, which Polymarket's right a lot of the time, then it's almost kind of inked in that's going to be 25. But, you know, there's still going to be speculation on that. All right, so I think we look good on the daily for Bitcoin. So that's going to wrap it up for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum definitely looking strong here with kind of this symmetrical bounce back that we're seeing right now. It did try to go into the sell pressure, but man, that sell pressure looks extremely weak. But don't get kind of, I would be patient here. If you're not already in a trade, I would be patient and see what happens here, because you're looking at some buy pressure with, I wouldn't say it matches the previous buy pressure on the sell pressure side, but you know, it's not nothing. And then we go into another buy pressure with this really weak sell pressure, right? So if Bitcoin does, you know, trend down for the second half of today, and we probably see Ethereum, you know, slowly tail behind that, right? This could open back up. So I would be patient here to see how this plays out, because to me, this could be a tricky situation that the MACD is showing me. Because initially you're thinking this is a weak sell session, I can get in here, right? I would actually go to your, you know, time frame that you used for your entries, right? So for me, I use something like the 15-minute. So I would look at the 15-minute if you're thinking that and say, am I confident with this buy pressure that I'm seeing on the MACD? Doesn't look super strong, but it could pop open, right? And then you can go back to the VRVP2 on the, even on the 15-minute. You can use all these tools on every time frame. Obviously, you get down to the 1 minute, it's pretty degen at that point. You know, the data is not going to be as useful in my opinion. But you can see here, right? So, you know, the local time, I'm going back to 9:15, so about an hour and 40 minutes back from where I am now, and you can see it's pretty heavily dominated on the buy side, right? So maybe wait to see if this busts open, you get a little bit of a larger green signal from the MACD here, and then you say, okay, well, this might be that entry that I was thinking about taking for that 1 hour, because the 1 hour, you know, is looking weak right now. But that wasn't financial advice. That is just showing you how to use an entry to really, you know, work together with the higher time frame, right? So the hour is, you know, definitely be patient here, in my opinion, because you see it turn dark red again. See how this plays out for the next hour or two, and see if you get more information, more data. All right, let's take a quick look at the daily here, because the daily's been a little tricky for Ethereum. You can see the daily looks like a beautiful setup, man. But remember, it doesn't matter how close you get to crossing over into the new momentum. You know, I would love a strong green daily candle here to get us crossed over there. But then we go into Saturday, right? We're going to Saturday. And Saturday is kind of one of those days that you're just like, man, I don't want to take a really strong conviction entry heading into Saturday, because Saturday is just not one of those days you want to fit. Like Saturday, in my opinion, is a scalp day. You want to look for those scalp opportunities, get in and out. Sunday is typically a momentum continuation from the previous weekday or a switch of momentum day. Saturday is typically, like I said, low volume, thin liquidity. Go ahead.
I have a question real quick. So Sunday now with football back, has Sunday become a second Saturday, or do we
I don't
still
think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think Sunday's always kind of like, you know, you settle in, because you got to remember too, like in America, we love Sundays for football, but Asia, you know, is in
Asia's sleep though most of Sunday.
Well, no. When you get pretty late though, it's like their morning, right? So they can definitely get aggressive. Start Monday morning, how to start their week, right? And they're probably trying to get ahead of the trading, you know, firms and stuff that for their Monday bell, right? So it's gonna be interesting though. I mean, from a aesthetic standpoint, the way this entire setup looks, it looks so good on the daily for Ethereum, right? I mean, it just looks so good. At this point, would probably, I would wait until Sunday to see, you know, do we get that crossover at some point where the momentum is officially flipped. And like I mentioned, as you go to the larger time frames, this type of data, in my opinion, is more useful because now you have more confidence in these larger time frames that can match up with the shorter ones. Right now you can kind of get into the hour chart that can help you with entry paired with the 15-minute. You know what I mean? So I love the setup, but for me currently, I would wait a little bit. Personally, my personal opinion, wait till Sunday evening. And if I get that bullish, if you get like a really strong first green kind of sign here, signal on the MACD on the daily chart here, I'm gonna get in there because I'm okay getting in a little bit late with like a big green candle here and then playing that probably for the next couple days. You know what I mean? So just some extra insight there for me personally, and I'm no expert or anything like that. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it right now. So that is Bitcoin and Ethereum for you guys. Let's take a look really quick at the crypto bubbles. Crypto bubbles looking very good in the top 100.
Green.
I mean, looking very, very green. This meme land, man. If there were some people that got in super early on this, man, they are rich. RAF.
You got in like last month, you're probably up like 200x. Like,
yeah, I mean, because it was top 300 then or 400. So
yeah,
you had a big push up. Right now, what is it ranked right now? It's ranked 35.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, dude, this thing was like 300, like you said, 300, and then it got in the hundreds, dude. To get from 100 to 30 is like
hard.
Like $15 billion.
Oh my god, this is crazy. So meme land or meme core, I should say.
Yeah.
I thought it was meme land. Meme core.
It was meme land. I think they changed it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. It's up 16%. And then Ondo up 7.5%. We were talking about RWA earlier. So maybe some focus over there. Bonk is up 7.2%. Aave up 3.2%. You got Floki up 3.3%. Monero up 2.7%. Dog with Hat up 2.8%. Pump is cruising up 10.6%. MyX up 28%.
We called the bottom on our show though.
Yeah, we did for Pump.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely. MyX, even though I'm not too crazy about it, we both called it, right? We're just like, this is probably that opportunity at 0.0022 or whatever it was at. MyX up 28.4%. Probably going to see some red on this token probably the next couple days, maybe not. I don't know. Virtual. The reason why I say that though for the audience is just because it's having obviously a huge jump up here. Virtual's up 3.3%. Form up 14.1%, Uniswap up 2.8%, HBAR up 3.1%, Lido up 3.5%. You got Near Protocol up 1.2%, Pangu up 4.9%, Stacks up 1.3%, Mutable X up 3.5%. You got Quant up 1.9%. Pretty much everything is up, guys. You got a couple outliers here. Pith was up the past couple of days, probably pulling back because of that, taking some profit there, going into other stuff down 1%. Taking a look at the top 200 really quick. Mog up 5%. You got JTO up 9.7%. 1 inch up 2.1%. Linea pulling back 3.4%. Pulse X down 1.4%. SNEC up 2.2%. Wow, SNEC is a higher market cap than Dog of the Moon right now. That's interesting. B is up 3% there. You got Cato up 1.4%. So looking good for the alts here in the bubbles. What we got? Merlin up 4%. Dora, is that from the Verge? Is that Dortra?
It's not the same image, so I don't know. I don't know if it's Dora the Explorer from Virtuals, but
yeah.
Dude, Dog's red and everything else is green today. Like,
yeah, Dog is down 6.2% there, and it is in the top 300 now. Bounced out. Merlin's at 280. So I expect this to kind of have a fast track at some point, but we'll see when that happens there. But that is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the crypto bubbles, which is the alt market pulse for you guys.
Yep. Great job, man. Let's jump over to what I like to call the roll call here. So we're gonna jump right into it. On the roll call, we do take the first comment each day, and we put that on a a spreadsheet here. And we've been tracking this all the way from January and all the way till now. So right now, the people that are in the lead right now are Lucky, Lukey, and WebDro. I think both have 44. Yeah, tied at 44. ASAP, Benji. What do we do if there's a tie? I didn't even think of it. Hopefully it doesn't come. What happens if it's like Lucky Luke has like 62, WebDro has 62. What do we do in that case?
We got to figure out what's fair, right? So do we do
one more day?
A Raz? No, I'm just kidding. We can do like some sort of both.
Give them each five numbers. Yeah, I like that.
So we'll see.
We'll see. Yep. All right. Jump to the rest of the comments here. We got ASAP Benji with that #1 comment. Awesome. And we have Matt's here. Shout out to Matt's every single day, brother. Bitcoin is truth this year. Veda time. He said it's bull market time, dude. I'm starting to really feel that, bro. Spindrift this year. Shout out to Spindrift. Satoshi Nakamoto, the legend himself, always here while watching and paying attention. Satoshi's trying to get those gains. K99 is here. Chips and Dip is here. Abstract. Got my guys, Shizzy and Yagobi, every day. Every day. We do not stop, guys. We do not stop. Shout out to Joko is here. Meet I always have trouble with this. The physical?
No.
I know it's not a real word.
Digital
art. Okay, meet digital art. Shout out to you, my friend. He said TK, I added you. Dogs on air is here. Shout out to Matt. He said GM guys. Rainy day here. TK to the moon. Yeah, it's sunny here. What is it like down there?
I think it's sunny. I gotta look outside.
I haven't went outside today either. I have this one window that I can see if I gotta close it if it rains. For some reason I know. Chief Axel is here. Shout out to Chief Axel. Buenos ideas. The legendary one himself. Make Bitcoin fun again. The guy Ant-Man is here. Shout out to Ant-Man and Lackey Lukey. I appreciate both you guys, man. Every single day. Lackey, man. Obviously, dude. Much love to you. Ant-Man again. And we have Patty Poo. Sup. The Bitcoin machine himself, my guy, said RWA, real world asses. Patty Poo would always the best comment of the day. Shout out to you, my friend. Rick G says TK to the moon. And then we have DJ Clitty Litters here. Shout out to you. He said, don't listen to Block. Never listen to Block is what I'm hearing from the ex-OSD. OSD is apparently dead, bro. How do you feel about, support desk? There's no more spaces. It hasn't had a space in weeks.
I thought I saw Hype post something about we gonna fire it back up or something.
Oh, are they? Okay, I hope they do. But it's been a while. I've been looking for it and haven't seen it. Seamson says, I am now wary of betting against Yagobi. Looking at the current ETH chart peeling off, I have nothing more to say than now that's a Yagobi. I
appreciate the kind words. I read that different initially. He's like, now I'm wary of betting with Yagobi or something initially, but
against he doesn't want to short when you say long. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but don't listen to that. Do further research. Like the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto bubbles is a really high level, like in terms of, when I say high level, I mean like entry kind of level. It's not in-depth TA or anything like that, but it's to kind of guide of where we think that, the price is heading for the day. And we do our best with that. So I appreciate the kind words, but definitely do further research than just Yagobi.
Yeah. I mean, you got me. You made me some money this week, so I don't know. Your TA, so it is what it is. Matt says TK. Shout out to you, my friend. Toast is here. Shout out to Toast, my guy. Appreciate you being here. Mir is here. Shout out to Mir. Myself says getting 4% APR doesn't outpace the rate of inflation, though. It does, according to the CPI. So if you get 4% on your money and the money is inflating, I think it's like 2.7. No, it's 3. It's 3 now, right? 3%. I think the CPI was. So it's still 1% higher. So you still, worst case scenario, you're keeping up with inflation, right? Even if the rates do drop a little bit, so you'll be kind of keeping up with the inflation, keeping it net zero. But yeah. Stan said, is RWA the most bullish category for legacy enterprises in bridging the gap into Web3? If so, are there other categories, Ponzi schemes for the Web3 takeover? Funny you asked that, because we have a category that we'll be going into in a few minutes. That's kind of, I think, could be a little bit more Ponzi, right?
It could. Well, it maybe not. Well, kind of. Maybe more overblown, just because we love narratives here. But when I say overblown, I mean from like longevity level maybe, but I think it could be the next narrative that's hot, and for like 2 to 3 months people could make millions of dollars on it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I do think that the RWA is the most bullish category for legacy enterprises. I think that
Yeah.
it's the long game. RWA is the long game in our space, right? And so not necessarily going to find those 1000x type of situations, but like I think one of the Googles or Amazon type of brands is going to come out of that RWA category in
You think
terms
we
of
get to a
brand
point?
recognition.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think we get to a point where we stop saying RWA and everything is just an asset on chain?
Digitized.
Yeah.
I think it will always
I'm not
be
saying
there.
anytime soon. I'm saying like in the
Yeah.
next like 10, 15 years.
Yeah, but then the people that know the space will always refer like not
As
necessarily
RWA. Yeah.
not necessarily always refer to it, but still use that acronym.
Terminology. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Stan says, since ETH is leading in RWA by miles, how will other chains survive moving forward? I think I think Robinhood eventually is a big player in that space with their they're in ETH too. Obviously, it's the winner is probably going to be Stripe, just because they are the payment rails of our credit cards, right? So they're going to be right there. So when you swipe your credit card in the future, you're just using your stable coins that they put in your wallet and take out as you make those trades. It'll all be centralized, in my opinion, but it'll be a fast-paced way, and it would actually probably save you money. Because they're, well, I don't know, because credit cards are like 1 or 2%, so maybe it won't save you money when using stable coins and Stripe. I don't know.
I do think that RWAs you got to look at as a spectrum, right? So one end of the spectrum is the hardcore like financial assets, right? So I think ETH is kind of dominating that, and then you have Ondo too. So we're talking about treasury bonds, we're talking about just financial type products. Then on the completely opposite side of the spectrum, it maybe not be that far, but close to it would be like trading cards or like rare sneakers or that type of commerce, right? And so I think brands can really determine where these products are going to live, right? And you start off with like the whoever runs these type of financial assets. So you got BlackRock really choosing, and we're already seeing that they chose Ondo, right, for some of these RWAs from the financial sector. And then we're going to see the companies like whoever, Fanatics, maybe, if they decide to big move in terms of, hey, look, as soon as we create our product, the card, we're backing it 1-to-1 digital off of the assembly line or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And who do they pick to go off that? So that's why I think the opportunity is so huge, and it's such a long-term thing.
Yeah. And Pokemon cards are flying on Solana right now. Right, there's two new vendors that are just doing Pokemon cards and sports cards, so that Solana could be a big player too, because it's how fast and easy it is to use. And gotta remember one thing about Solana: it has the most users, it has the most liquidity. Right, I'm not gonna say money or TVL, but it definitely has the most liquidity. James Robert Hathaway is here. Shout out to you, my friend. Remy Yu is here. Super fan, the legendary one. GM. Appreciate you, my friend. We got myself in the building. Shout out to myself. Lots of longs being placed. I'm tempted to play this with some leverage. It's been a while, man. Hey, if you do it, dude, go over to Artura. Potentially you get some airdrop opportunities from Botonics. Hydro Sapien is here. Shout out to Hydro Sapien. Myself says memes are powerful. I believe we'll see much more 100x's in meme coins in the near future. Yeah, I do too. But we'll see.
Me too. I do see that, actually. So whenever we talk about these, businesses and this type of new kind of structure, we're not saying all meme coins are going away. I think meme coin communities are very important. So, yeah,
100%. Community coins basically is what meme coins are going to become, right? They're just community coins. Like, a group of people say that this has this much value, so they're going to value. But the real innovation, and I think kind of the reason, I think a lot of us are here for 2 reasons, right? The main reason is to make money, and the second reason is because we feel like this has the most innovation, right? That's the reason why I love it here. I love doing research on projects. I love doing research into AI and this next category that we're about to show. So, I would love to see real innovation go along with, the fun, stupid stuff that we have here. But I don't know. I feel like the fun, stupid stuff has to like minimize a little bit. And you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
I don't think it can be like the only thing.
Yeah. You can still have fun in the space. I think it's gonna be a new style of fun though. It's gonna be like, people that are collectors or people that are just not the constant like 24/7 casino that's always being ran. I think that
Yeah.
exists. I think it's gonna have its own space eventually, but there's gonna be bigger and more just the space is gonna be so much bigger and stronger with different like strong products and formidable stuff, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah. Let's jump to the next thing here. So I've lately, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've had my research hat on. All right. I've been looking. So I have this book here. I have about 16 projects that I've already looked into, and I have about 65 more that I'm actually looking into. And I'm going to be doing that this weekend. So probably spend like 4 or 5 hours and just kind of going through. It's kind of easy too, because once you get going, you can immediately just cross one off in like 9 seconds by looking at tokenomics and being like, all right, this is there's still 70% of the supply that still has to come out. I'm gonna immediately out on a lot of that. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like I that's why I like stuff like Agent Hustler, where the whole supply is out. There is no really locked tokens besides what the team has, right? So, but when I see like something on the sense of, and I'll show you exactly what I mean, but the biggest sector that I'm looking at right now is robotics. And am I bullish on it for the innovation? Yes, but I'm also bullish on it for the narrative. So if you remember last cycle, one of the biggest narratives, especially towards the end, was metaverse. And 4 years later, there is no metaverse. There is none. Any idea of what anyone said a metaverse was, there is none. You can go get your Oculus on your head and go run around in the Facebook meta. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. I've done it. It's fun for about 6 minutes, and then it's like, okay, now this thing's hurting my head. You know what I mean? And then you go to something like, I'm serious.
I've done
Ape
it.
Land and stuff, right? And you play on the ape thing, and that's cool for about 6 minutes. If you have a friend, it might be cool for about 30 minutes, right? If you're kind of playing together, and that's fun, right? But it's still not comparable to something like World of Warcraft or something like RPG games. Like my favorite right now is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, right? It's just not as fun as those. So like, why am I going to waste time in that? And a lot of the two, I have to constantly pay transaction fees when I'm doing shit. It's just not a good experience. Metaverse, in my opinion, failed, but people made a lot of money during that cycle, right? With Metaverse tokens. So I'm kind of seeing the same thing here. Do I think these products are going to put out something that competes with Tesla and the Tesla bots? Hell no. But do I see videos of kids 11, 12 years old with these AI arms and stuff on YouTube? And I'm like, wow, that is really cool. And it makes me think that a lot of the stuff is possible. Hell yeah. So I think, it's time to kind of start looking at maybe some of the next narratives, and robotics could be that narrative. And look, if you look at robotics, dude, look, there's about 15 coins here. 15 coins here. Bro, it's such a small area. And I think it's going to pop. And the number one coin is number 549. Right. So, I mean, think about that for a second. If this is a narrative at all, you're going to have one of these coins go into the top, 100. Right.
How many coins are you looking at?
So I've looked at all of these so far.
Is there like 10?
It's about 12.
Oh,
I'll just kind of it's about 14 coins here in the RWA space. But let's go with peak first, right? You look at it, the market cap is 99 million, fully diluted 307. So this is the problem with this. Circulating supply 1.2, total supply 4.3, right? So to me, it's like it's a lot of inflation. It's a lot of inflation that still has to come. Can this run? Probably. It's just not one that I'm willing to kind of bet on, especially because the risk reward isn't there because it's already $100 million market cap, right? So I take that into effect as well. And fully diluted, it's like 400 million. So it's like it's not, that one's not for me. Would that be for you? Do you think?
No, but so I think even what I'm about to say is like if we had a traditional Q4 of like, let's say 2021, then this could easily push to $1 billion market cap. But I still don't think the risk is worth it because we don't know how much they're going to unlock to themselves, all that stuff, right? So yeah, I agree. I don't think this is worth the risk versus the reward with the information we have right here.
100%. And for this reason, I don't even click into the website. To me, it doesn't really matter what they're building because this bothers me. This bothers me. The fully diluted market cap at 357 million. It's just too big. It's just too big for me, right? So I would go back and then take a look at the next one. The next one is at AUKey, right? You look at something like AUKey, and it's sitting at a $68 million market cap, right? The circulating supply is 2.4 million. The total supply is 9. So there's a huge number of inflation there. The fully diluted is 281. So again, for me, I'm not even looking at this. It's one of those ones where maybe I'll take a look. I'll go to a Labs for this one and kind of see the robot moving with the dog, but like we know that this is AI generated, right, or something like that. I don't know. Building the real web. This is like one of those I see like influencers with this bot, right? So I don't know. And then when you go to these websites too, they tell you their mission, they tell you their partners and stuff like that, but it really doesn't tell you exactly what they're doing in the AI space, right? So I mean, there is probably some. Dig deep enough, you'll find some stuff, but interoperable robotics, the leading sponsors for Super AI and AWE. So yeah, so kind of going back here, and then you kind of jump to the next one, which is modular. This is one sitting at around 40. This is one right here where I see total supply 1 million, circulating supply 65, 658,000. Right, this is the one of the ones that I'm kind of looking at right away. Modular cloud, right? The decentralized operating system powering on-chain robotics. Like this is something that I would really start looking at. Proof of utility, unique POU model, rewards, incentive, real. So that this is something that's new and different that we've never seen before, and that's kind of what I'm looking at, right? And this type of stuff right away gets me bullish on one, the tokenomics, two, what the project is actually doing, right?
My bad, I was on mute. How can so I get that this could be that narrative that runs for Q4, right? And people can make a lot of money. But let's say the real world use case or whatever, or integration of this, like when they talk about on-chain robotics, what are they meaning? Like what are they, like data that comes from the robot gets put on chain?
Operating systems that, because that's the thing, is like these robots and stuff in the future, they're all gonna kind of be on the same wavelength, right? They're all gonna kind of need to, like, if you teach one something, you're basically teaching the entire system it. And so let's just say you and your robot are communicating. Your robot is constantly putting this stuff on its blockchain, right? Putting it in its cloud system. So it's like replacing cloud systems with the blockchain. So it's just like, so it's just constantly just learning. And, once it is in, it can't be changed. Right. So if it's kind of a decentralized way of these models learning, which could be kind of dangerous because there's going to be nobody that's sitting there and deleting stuff. Right. If you teach your robot how to do something.
But you have to
the whole
have
system
that option. You have to have the option to delete stuff and change, bad habits or whatever.
Well, you
right?
can add to it, right? And that's the best part about blockchain is like, you can teach it methods and different stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm curious if I'm pretty sure there's other aspects of it and like how it's going to work with Web3, but I definitely think it's like one of those narratives that is kind of like this is possible. Is it probable? That's questionable, right? But
I mean, that's why I brought up the whole
2021
with the metaverse, right? Because I think
absolutely.
when Tesla comes out with their bot, this stuff's going to run.
Yeah,
this stuff's going to run, right?
It's going to be a narrative that people make millions of dollars. I agree with that. But it's also interesting, and who knows? Maybe we get a pleasant surprise, and there is really some integration there. But I've noticed the past two that you showed are being built on Ethereum too. So
yeah, these two are Ethereum.
Yeah.
And then we have this one, which is Kodak Flow. This is one I'm really kind of bullish on here. Circulating supply 749. Total supply 909. So pretty much it's a market cap of 31 million. Fully diluted is 41. This one is running on Solana. It was a pump fund token. Very similar to Agent Hustle. Agent Hustle again was, it did eventually migrate, so this one could migrate, right? I actually reached out to them. I was like, yo, you guys should migrate to your own pool. You're missing out on a lot of money. And then you go to Kodak Flow AI. Execution layer for robotics and AI operations on Solana, early access, and you view the docs. And This is something I haven't had time to really dig into yet. So this is definitely one that I will be doing this weekend, kind of digging in. I'll let you guys know on Monday how I feel about it. Establishes low latency video streams using our, so this is doing like intelligence layer. The intelligent layer houses the AI decision-making core for each operator. So this one is kind of building like the brain model for these like robotics.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I definitely, if they're listening, if Codex is listening, which they're probably not, but if they are, I recommend doing the migration, because you just have more, like you have more control over the LP earnings, and you need that to help with your runway and stuff like that. But I'm sure maybe they have investors. We'll see. But we know that investors don't really love the launch pad kind of LP management stuff.
Yeah, this is the best part right here. Users earn the Kodak tokens by contributing to the platform's ecosystem through two primary mechanisms: operator marketplace and compute marketplace. So they're doing kind of very similar to Tau, to where you're going to be able to give their system compute and you're going to be earning their token. So that's a big deal, dude. This is Tau. I mean, this if this works out, and this could be a Tau competitor, and Tau is massive, dude. Tau's one of the but instead of it being for AI, they kind of want to be the Tau of robotics.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
really interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to see them migrate. I don't know why. I just want to see them migrate, but it's because I feel like it's a smart move, right? If you're in a utility project like this, you got to have control over that kind of stuff.
I mean, they do. I do look at the tokens, right? So this is the lockup. So obviously on Pump Fund, you grab your. So they do have 150,000 of their own tokens out of the billion, 150 million out of the billion, right? They have 15% of the supply.
But it's not about the tokens. It's about also earning the LP, like max earning.
That's it too. I think they should migrate as well. I think this would be really good for Jake.
What's the market cap on it?
30 million, 31.
Yeah. And like the one good thing about like launching on a launchpad is that the supply is all circulating always.
That's why I like this project too.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like, I know there's gonna be obviously you can earn these tokens by giving the project compute. Right.
And that's why they bought all those tokens. Yeah.
Yep. And VCs probably as well and stuff like that. So, and you never know, they can buybacks and stuff like that. So, but I do think you're right. I do think they should do a migration if they're serious about continuing to move forward here. But still, definitely bullish on this. 31 million is a little bit out of my range. I want to get in tokens between 5 and 15 and ride them to hundreds, but maybe I don't have that. I just think there's a lot of opportunity right now with the markets being so dead in the sense of volume, that getting into something that 5 to 15 and it runs to 1.5 billion or something, that's kind of what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah,
but I'll let you guys know what I find, and I'm gonna keep doing research on a lot of this stuff.
And also, we don't know what these huge Silicon Valley investors or like big money is going to push towards, other than AI. We know that that's a big part, and then RWA. But like, I think a sector like this could be something, could not be something, but always keep your eyes open and ears open for what that could be.
Yep. You want to send Jake the link?
I did. I already got it over to him.
I'm gonna jump over to the wheel so we have enough time to knock this out.
All right.
So I got to know everyone on here, everyone who has came in here and put TK. I'm gonna give it one quick check. It looks like it's good, and we're gonna give this thing a couple shuffles here. Did I add Hydro Sapien? I don't think I did. Let me add you real quick, Hydro. What is your tag there? H2 SAP IEN. All right, so I got everyone now. Let's give this thing a quick shuffle again, and then we'll bring it in. All right, let's see. The first winner here
good luck.
Is going to be the guy who came in last. Shout out to you, man. Level Up Tech. Congratulations. We'll be sending you out some 100,000 TK, my friend. So we're gonna lock you in here. Probably put that in the banners real quickly. Give this thing another shuffle. Remove you. Shuffle. I got one more spin after this. Let's see. It looks like it's My guy, CZ0 Art, legendary one himself. Gonna grab you, lock you in, and I'll be sending you guys out this weekend. If I reach out to you on X for your wallet, please respond back quickly. And here we go into the final one. Patty Poo, the Bitcoin machine himself. Shout out to all you guys who win. And we do giveaways every single day. So make sure you guys come in here, put TK in the chat with your Twitter handle, and that'll make it easier for me to DM you and get your wallet address so we can get you that TK over to you. But appreciate every single one of you guys who play each and every day.
Sir.
All right. Let's jump into our next segment here. And we are lucky enough to be partnered with Agent Hustle. And every week we like to have the team over on our show today. And today we have the amazing CEO, Jake Gallen. Jake had a huge week this week. They actually just announced that they will be discontinuing the Emblem Vault keys and be going full hustle. We're going to break down exactly what that means and everything you guys can expect going forward with this new hustle and everything. Now it's three platforms, one token. Pretty absolutely amazing here. Without further ado, just bring up Jake. Jake, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thanks so much for being here, sir.
What's up, guys? First segment of Hanging with Hustle. How awesome is this?
Awesome. I love the name.
We should, it was Emblem Hour, so now we should change it to Hanging with Hustle Hour. We can even do a third H in there if we wanted to.
Triple H, baby.
Triple H, baby. Yeah, he was one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day.
Now he's leading it, bro. He went from part of the team to leading the show, kind of like you, man.
From the trenches, man. From the trenches. Yeah, it's kind of crazy looking back that I was a moderator in the Mooncat Discord like 4 years ago, all the way to here. And I see countless examples of this now, of individuals in the space kind of getting a niche within some sort of market and then eventually expanding that to some sort of role within a company. You see this countless times. That's kind of how Adam and I ended up at Emblem, but that idea is becoming a lot more popularized within the last maybe 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's because the people that have stuck around, after this really hard bear market in 2022 starting then, is like people are passionate about the space, right? So they stick around. But let me ask you this, people that get into the space, like you just talked about, a lot of times they'll get in through a community of a chain. So it's kind of tribalistic, and then they kind of work their way in that ecosystem, and sometimes they get stuck there. But like with you were able to kind of start off with like Mooncats, and then the historical NFT kind of community, and then you broke out everywhere. So that seems to be the best approach. Like, how do you do that? Like, what's the best way to do that?
You need to be able to identify opportunities when they present themselves and act very serendipitously and fast when that happens. It kind of really all starts with me starting a Vegas podcast, actually, when the pandemic happened, when I had noticed that the world was going to change really fast, and I'd realized that I needed to have a voice and a platform. And I had realized in 2020 that podcasting was the most popular form of influence, and I still think is today. When I had started studying Joe Rogan and a lot of these other ones many years ago, I'd realized that people listened to them and that they shared a lot of credibility. So I started and did, 150 episodes in just Vegas, in-person kind of interviews. And when I saw the opportunity through the Mooncat community to pivot my podcast from Vegas to crypto, I decisively acted on that. And I used that opportunity medium of a podcast to then interview and expand from the Mooncat community to the historical NFT community. And then from there, I was hired at Emblem Vault with Adam in 2022. And then being hired at Emblem, I then used the opportunity to expand to the Bitcoin community. So we started interviewing people in kind of the Bitcoin Season 2 community. And then from there, when we launched Agent Hustle, used that to then expand to Solana community. And then with Migratefun, now you expand that to all of the companies and all of the key individuals in Solana, which is now kind of I guess you would say, the most efficient market right now, with the most liquidity that is used on a kind of everyday basis. And you just have to continue to level up when that happens. You guys are obviously aware of this. This is when you pivoted to expand from DeFi discussions to Ordinal Revolution, right?
Yeah.
And then when you saw the opportunity to expand to other markets, you changed it to OnChain Revolution. And this is just something that you have to do. And you actually see this, if you pay attention, you see this quite often with a lot of the kind of KOLs or a lot of the different players in the industry where, you know, they'll be kind of a leading voice within a certain ecosystem or blockchain, and then they'll expand to kind of whatever the hot market is. And you see this happen a lot where you see a lot of these different people expand, but only a handful of them end up winning and being selected, right? And so you just have to be authentic when you do it, but you have to act quick because a lot of these opportunities, whether you're expanding in a professional manner for business or whether you're trying to do it in the attention economy, those windows can be literally hours or days at a time.
Yeah, 100%. And you were one of the few people who we interviewed for DeFi discussions, Ordinal Revolution, and On-Chain Revolution. So that's really awesome.
Crowd.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I'm trying to think about how many people. It's probably like a handful, honestly. So that's really awesome. It's cool. And the best part about that, we kind of feel like we watched you grow, you watched us grow, and now we're sitting here today talking about one of the biggest projects that potentially could be growing in the ecosystem, which is awesome. And I kind of want to get into what you guys posted the last couple days, right? So this is actually pretty big, and it's going to be a huge wake up call to a lot of people that are going to be watching this for the first time here. So let me bring up the tweet. This is the tweet from the Memecoin account. Farewell,
bro. You got to do your Twitter in the night mode, man. This is horrendous to look at. But continue.
All right. It's easier for me to read, man. I don't know. Farewell keys, hello hustle. After months of careful deliberation and observing the evolving Bitcoin and Emblem Vault ecosystems, we have made a decision to indefinitely postpone the planned Emblem Vault keys token generation event (TGE). 8 months ago, Emblem Vault set out to hold with a bold vision to become the premier infrastructure and technology platform within the Bitcoin economy. While the Bitcoin runes market has matured at a steady pace, another part of the Emblem ecosystem has far outpaced expectations, Agent Hustle. As a result, the Keys campaign will be sunset and replaced with Hustle, uniting our communities under a single token designed to compete at highest levels of the blockchain industry. So, you want to break this down for us?
It kind of goes back multiple years to actually when Adam and I joined Emblem Vault, November 2022. When we joined, Koval was the token. Koval has gone through multiple migrations itself, actually going all the way back to 2014. So Koval, just a quick history lesson. So Koval, actually started as something called Ribbit Rewards, which is a travel blockchain. This is before Ethereum even existed in 2014. And then Shannon worked for the company, who's our founder, and acquired the blockchain and then migrated it to Koval on counterparties, Koval C, in 2016. Eventually, then Koval was then migrated again to Ethereum in 2019 as Koval. And where it's at today, it was listed on Coinbase in 2021. And eventually delisted. But when Adam and I joined, Koval was the token, and we'd found out the extensive history of Emblem and kind of piecing it all together. It really took, a year or two to really kind of understand what Emblem Vault is, who are all the people who are in the ecosystem, and kind of, what it is, who are the competitors, and all of this nature. When we made the hard decision in 2023 to scale Emblem, we had to basically disconnect or devalue Koval intentionally, which was something that we actually discussed and shared with the community every month. We gave town hall updates, presentations, as well as spaces 3 times a week. So everyone was kind of really well aware. And the reason why we had to remove Koval from Emblem was there was a hostile regulatory environment. The initial mechanic of Koval itself was in order to mint a vault, you had to pay 250 Koval, and that 250 Koval was burned, right? So this was like a deflationary mechanism. And at the time, that was okay because Emblem's revenue was solely dependent on royalties and was making like a steady income. But after about 4 or 5 months of when Adam and I joined Emblem, 4 or 5 months later, royalties were discontinued. And so the whole business model was kind of ripped underneath Emblem Vault. And so we had to make a change real quick, right? Or else the company was going to be in a very bad decision, or very bad situation. And the unfair, or the I guess you would say that the regulatory environment said that at the time they had issued a statement saying that burning was classified as a security. So we had to remove the burning mechanic. And then it moved from CoVol being burned to CoVol being paid to the Emblem Vault treasury. But at the time, it came out to like $2 equivalent. And then obviously, or the ordinals thing happened. So everyone was using Emblem Vault for ordinals. And there was a plan for staking, but that had to be discontinued as well because it was considered a security under the Gensler regime. And at the time, Emblem Vault itself was still on the legacy contract. So we had to also scale the company itself. And so we had to make a really, really hard decision where it was like we were going to pause all Emblem Vault activity in order to create Emblem 2.0, which was migrate 50,000 NFTs from one single contract to about 60 different contracts. Ultimately, this took us what we thought was going to be 3 weeks, actually almost close to 2 years to do. But the Rare Pepe was the first collection we migrated. It took about 6 to 8 months to do. So when Emblem paused, there was no utility for CoVol, and CoVol was removed and used as a discount program for vaults. So when that happened, about a year later, CoVol was delisted from Coinbase. We had every intention to continue with CoVol, but once CoVol about a year later was discontinued and removed from Coinbase, we knew that that was kind of the death sentence for CoVol. I've never seen in my history of being in the industry almost 10 years, I've never seen a coin come back after being delisted from Coinbase. So we kind of knew that it was dead in the water at that time. But we still wanted to, migrate the CoVol holders over. And we thought the perfect opportunity would be to move back home to Runes on Bitcoin, where Emblem kind of really started and incubated in 2016. And Runes was hot, and so we etched a rune that was keys. It was one of I think it was like number 5,000 or in the 5,000 range. And the market was good, and we created this keys campaign strategy that we launched in last December, which basically put the keys in a vault that was time locked until September, and Bitcoin block 915,000. And that gave us time to basically assess the situation, see if Runes would mature to where we wanted it to be, and then we made a decision. But as well, the cool part of a vault is that just because it holds Bitcoin, it also has a deposit address for any single chain as well, right? That's the benefit of being a vault. So we did have option and flexibility to it. Ultimately, when Tensorium was launched as an experiment towards the end of last year, that really took off initially, right? It pumped kind of quite fast. And in crypto, we know as an experienced team that when there's attention and traction on something, you want to continue to pushing on that because it is really, really hard to get traction in this industry. A lot of people really take it for granted. And so we played out the whole hustle thing, right? And then eventually we ended up migrating Tensorium to hustle because we realized all of the downside long term of having a token on pump fund. Ultimately, the Migratefun platform was born out of the necessity to migrate hustle, and the intertwining hustle into Migratefun and agent hustle. We took a risk to say, hey, we've never seen this happen before, but let's try to do one token in two platforms. Essentially, people will find hustle in the attention economy of Solana that is the most competitive. Basically, you're putting up two different TV screens to ultimately find one token. And, we'll say, hey, we'll see how it works. And we'll conduct buybacks with both platforms when there's sustainable revenue for the company to make money. And then we'll take the access capital and issue buybacks. And ultimately, that strategy worked pretty well. And so people were finding hustle through Migratefun and through Agent Hustle itself, obviously Agent Hustle being the premier focus. But as hustle continued to grow, the looming unlock for keys was near. And so a few months ago, internally, we really started discussing, do we want to do 2 tokens? Do we want to do just hustle? We wanted to kind of see how the market would play out. And it was really about 3-4 weeks ago. I said to the team, like, I'm actually quite concerned if we do launch keys. I think it's actually going to be destructive than additive because it's going to cause a lot of confusion. And also, looking at it, the runes market has matured at a steady pace, but it's still in its experimental phase. There's still more meta protocols being developed. The on-chain DEX economy is still kind of immature, as well as Magic Eden itself has now backed a new meta protocol in Spark itself. So with that, it wasn't quite clear if Runes is going to be the winner. You have BRC 2.0 and Alkanes and all these. I'm still quite confident that Runes will be fine, but it just means that you need to put more effort as individual communities like Dog and Magic Internet Money to ensure the success. And so for us, the ecosystem just didn't provide enough support for where we wanted to be. On the other side, Hustle had been taking off. And also where we want to be is we want to be in the most competitive markets, in the most liquid markets, competing against the best builders in the world. And where is that right now? That's on Solana. And I don't see that changing anytime into the near future, as kind of Gen Z has really commoditized and took over Solana as their chain. And obviously you want to compete among the younger generation below you because they're the ones that are going to be setting the new trends. And so we want to play in that ballpark with them. And we have attention with Agent Hustle being the number 2 AI agent or DeFi AI agent by market cap on Solana, and Migratefun getting a lot of attention and interest. We had to make the decision to move to Hustle. Now, there's a lot of complications in terms of founder vaults that were sold through primary markets. We did do a raise on Echo. We did sell privately to about 35 other individual purchasers as well. And then you obviously have the Koval migration and the fuel migration as well. And so we had to really kind of plan this out, and you really have to balance it against the market of Hustle, right? And the team only owning 15% of the Hustle supply versus Keys, where we owned 100% and can really kind of distribute it. And so the first and foremost thing we have to do is obviously refund the founder vault buyers, which we had reached out to over the last 2 weeks. And we've been in contact with about 50% of people. Some of them are contractually bound. Some of them are not. And then we have to do the Koval and fuel migration. So the founder vaults themselves, we're in active discussion with the people we sold to directly, as well as some who had purchased founder vaults on the market on OpenSea, who've reached out. And we're going to go through that process and then refund them over the next 1 to 2 months, and then push the Koval migration. Instead of Keys, they'll be getting fuel, or instead of Keys, they'll be getting Hustle in Q1. The reason why we pushed it to Q1, and some people were kind of upset, is that the founder vault people have to be taken care of first. That's a primary sale. So that is something that we are legally bound to do and to replace. And then for the Koval migrations, nobody wants an airdrop in December at the end of the tax year. So we decided to do in January in the new tax year, or Q1 if there's any kind of pushback or any kind of obstacles, and allow us to give us time to let the market play out itself and to refund the founder vault owners. And then to the final point here is just the unification. The original goal of Keys was actually to unify all of Emblem's communities between Koval and Fuel and any other past holders of anything else with the Emblem NFT holders. Because one thing we had learned, which we've been very diligent to not allow this to happen with Hustle, is that historically with Emblem and Koval holders, the Koval holders of the token did not use Emblem Vault at all. So there was a very huge incentive misalignment between them. And that was one of the, and this is why the Koval and holders for the majority are always so frustrated, and why we had to remove the utility. But for us, we're a product company, and the product has to come first. And so with Agent Hustle, we did exactly this. The product has to come first, and then the tokenomics come second and are additive. So now we can kind of rip the final Band-Aid off for the Emblem it took me, took us close to 3 years to really figure out this puzzle from all the history, all the, no VC funding, balancing, creating a revenue generating business, building the team. When Adam and I joined, there was just the 2 co-founders working on it for literally the last 5-6 years, right? So we basically had to rein in the whole entire company, get all the control under all the assets, and kind of really align everyone. And it took about 3 years to do so. And once we get through this final few months of migrating Koval and Fuel and passing out and refunding the founder vault holders, heading into 2026, all of our communities can be aligned under one vision. And I think that's what's most important and makes it most valuable in the long term.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I love this. I absolutely love it. So can you confirm that, Hustle token will be the end all be all for what you guys are building here?
Yeah, into the near future. I can't say anything on, what happens years from now.
Yeah.
Right? Emblem could expand into something much, much larger, which we think of, and it's hard to predict on what the markets are. But currently right now we're aligning everyone under Hustle and moving on that forward into the near future until something else changes. Now it's kind of this idea of 3 apps, 1 token. There is this, like, when you think long term, there could be this situation where, because the token is integrated into so many apps, it could price potential new users out of using these applications as we deploy more apps and create more things. So it is something that we're going to be cognizant of as we integrate Hustle into all of our other applications. But with that being said, it's tough to predict the future. It's tough to predict how the market acts. So as of now, we're going to work on integrating Hustle into all 3 applications. I can't say anything about the future because I don't really know. But right now, the best thing we could do as builders is focus on what we have here. And we could create our own internal roadmaps over the next, 6 to 12 months with kind of goals. But with the way that we build and the way that we operate is that we allow the market to tell us the decisions to make. We put out MVPs and ideas, and we see how people respond. And then from there, we make the decisions that's best on the business to keep operations going. That's obviously the most important thing. Without the business and without salaries, right, there's all of the stuff dies. So that has to be the priority. And then after that, it's what's going to supplement our power users on all of the different applications that gives them the best experience forward. And then after that, it's how do you create cross-pollinative incentives between all 3 platforms for the Hustle token. And then as well, there are some technical things to consider, as Hustle is an SPL token and Emblem is primarily on ETH right now, although we are going to be expanding to all of these. And Migratefun is obviously Solana, but will then be cross-chain, as well as another application that we've built that will probably be released maybe early next year or first half of next year. So there are things that we have to overcome technical, but the goal is all unified under Hustle. And I think we have a really good thing going from an organic growth standpoint for our community, right? Users are organically using all these platforms without incentives, which means there's a real use case. Users are talking about Hustle. We now have a community name of hustlers. People are changing their PFPs, right? And that's not something that we want to disrupt, but only something that we want to encourage and accelerate.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to go back. First of all, thank you for the breakdown, because that was a really extensive, detailed breakdown of, why Hustle is the main token of the ecosystem of how it is currently. But I want to go back to the beginning of that story, because that was when you got announced to be CEO. So it was kind of like, hey, you're CEO, here you go. This huge platter of problems and stuff that you got to sort out. First of all, was that extremely overwhelming? Secondly, do you feel like getting through all that, has that helped you with your decision making today as the CEO of Emblem Vault?
It's a good question. I was actually telling this to one of the frustrated Koval holders recently. The reason why I was made CEO is because I'm not afraid to make hard decisions. and I'm not afraid to bring them up internally when I think there is something wrong. I know this is sometimes a crux for people to lead companies, because you want to kind of push difficult decisions or conversations under the rug, and try to hope that it fixes itself. But what I've learned is operating a company is that it never fixes itself, and you have to attack the thing immediately when you realize that there is a long-term issue. And so all of these decisions that have been made over the years are things that we've all brought up internally. I don't bring up all of the issues. A lot of times other team members will bring them up as well, and we'll have a serious conversation about it. And a lot of time the discussion is not one-sided. A lot of the time it's actually pretty divided, and everyone shares their kind of points on where they think is the best decision to go and grow. And we go from there. And so when I joined Emblem, first thing I did was really spend about 6 months to a year really understanding what the technology was. At the time, right, Emblem was coming off the heels of a crazy NFT run with historical NFTs and all this traction, trying to figure out where it is, interoperability wise, where's the community, all these conversations. And yeah, it's really helped me grow. And I would say, especially in the last 6 months or so, building on Solana, I've become a lot more hardened to the business aspects of how crypto works, and the shady side of things, as well as the authentic side, as well as the incentives that people are looking for, as well as the business opportunities that exist, and the kind of tribalism or territory that people teams try to defend, whether they do it maliciously or kind of in the spirit of the game and do it authentically. And it is difficult, but this keys piece and aligning everything to hustle, I think, is actually the last Band-Aid that has to be ripped off until everything is completely aligned. Now, that doesn't to say the job is done. The job's actually just starting at that point. This is essentially cleaning up everything that's happened over the last 11 years in the company's history, and then moving forward. And then we still got to generate revenue, right? We still got to get profitable. We still got to continue to accrue value to the token, and we got to continue to attract new users. And now we're competing against the best builders on Solana and across the industry, who have dozens of employees and hundreds of millions of dollars of funding. And we have 9 employees and have not raised a single VC dollar. Not to say that it's not something we're open to, which we're definitely open to, but the way that Emblem's been constructed grassroots is generally not attractive to venture capital, because there's already a token, because they can't sell the idea to the next VC to then get another raise on the round to put all the paper gains in and such. And it just does not seem to align. So we've had to go about this in a very grassroots movement. But at the end of the day, it makes us much stronger, because the people on the cap table are the employees, and we get to make the decisions that's best and aligned with the community, and not with the people on the cap table.
Yeah, man, absolutely awesome. You guys have now become, in my eyes, Hustle Corporation or Hustle Corp, right? Because you guys are now kind of an ecosystem now, right? You have many projects. You have the jumping aspect of vaulting your NFT and bridging to any chain. Then you have the amazing Agent Hustle AI trading companion that actually does trades for you. And then you have the third part of this, which is Migratefun. And I kind of want to pivot to over here, if you don't mind, because we are getting up to some crucial dates here. Last time we had an update on Migratefun, you guys were in the audit mode of this. Can you kind of give us an update on that? And then what do we have look forward to with Migratefun?
Yeah. So the audit itself is supposed to be done today or tomorrow. But the way that audits work, I don't hear back from them until they're kind of done. You have these expectations, and everyone has these timelines, and everyone wants to know the exact date and stuff. But I've learned to never put out an exact date, because the crypto community will definitely hold it to you, even if it's not your fault for why things are pushed back. So it's supposed to be around today. We're onboarding all of the teams next week. We have calls scheduled with all of our migrated teams, which are, I think, about 17 or so. We've had a few drop out over the last few days, and we've had a lot of inquiries in the last few weeks. That's kind of progressed from teams, or from teams who want to migrate to protocols and companies who want to integrate migration to themselves. After a handful of these have probably realized that over the last few weeks or month, all these teams said they're going to build migration tools. And as of today, still don't see any. And I think a lot of them have realized the difficulty of it, which we had said this whole time. So in a few weeks, we'll start the migrations. You guys will see, kind of ramping up of marketing here over probably the next few weeks. And we're going to begin the migrations for these teams. There's still a bunch of checks that have to go. We have to talk with all these teams and onboard them. I just know there's going to be a bunch of last minute requests and things that need to change, but it is underway. Migration season is going to happen, and we're going to continue to grow the platform. And I think the demand for these migrations is actually drastically increased. And I think the market potential is quite large. There's future things that we could change within the business model of Migratefun and the way that we attract teams and the way we partner and stuff. But for right now, our sole focus is really making sure that this first group is taken care of, everything goes smoothly, and that the platform has a successful, great migration wave.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited for this. And even with the recent changes, the plan to still you use a portion of the fees to buy back the Hustle token, is that still the plan?
Still the plan. Yeah, everyone wants like a specific number, but it's the same approach I take to everything. I'm hesitant to put a number out because I just don't know how the first group's going to go. You don't know if all these tokens are going to pump, and therefore then the revenue, is much higher than you expect. It's also possible that some of these migrations have a low turnout, so the revenue is much less than you expect. So I told everyone that once we get the revenue, then we're going to make a decision based off of the income and the amount of runway that we have to extend for the team itself, and then take a portion of that and do buybacks. And then with those funds, we have a few ideas of what we want to do with it, right? We could use this for rewards. We could use it to fund or to add to the LP itself, since we are this pretty much sole provider for the LP. I know that's something you want because you want whales to become to go in and out, right? And $1 million liquidity sounds like a lot, but for some of these whales, that is not sufficient, right? So we do have to grow that as well. So there's a bunch of ideas for it. We will do buybacks. I just don't have a percentage because I need to see the market data to make a thoughtful decision. If we had a bunch of venture capital, I could give you a number, but we don't. So we have to be true to ourselves and true to the market, and not make empty promises that we can't fulfill until we know exactly what the numbers are.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely a fair approach to take. This is kind of uncharted territory, right? Going into a migration product that is going to be used by multiple teams. So I want to take it back a little bit here. You mentioned that, like, you guys don't have like a ton of VC investments and stuff, the way you guys started with grassroots and all this stuff. It reminds me of some of these startups from like the Web2 world that had to find their way, and they had this awesome product and eventually got the investment attention down the road, right? So I kind of view you guys in that way. Shizzy and I were talking about, the next phase of Web3. I'm in the camp that there's going to be some sort of merge in terms of how they handle going public with a coin. How do you see like a project like Hustle? Let's say Hustle does that, becomes huge down the line and you get investment. How will investors look at like, a possibility of Emblem going public and then having a coin? Do you think that becomes like merged as like one value thing, or there always be two separate things like public shares and coins?
It's a good question. It's something that we're going to have to find out. As the saying goes, we're going to have to fuck around and find out and see kind of really what happens here. But balancing 3 applications that all have some sort of intermediate success and a user base is interesting. There's also some kind of legal sides where all 3 of these apps are under one company itself, Cross-Chain Ventures, LLC. And so, do you want to kind of split them all up into individual entities? There's the technical things where Agent Hustle is built on top of Emblem Vault. So are they actually right? So are they a package? Or are they not? right? Migratefun obviously is kind of built independently and can, it can exist as a company under the Emblem brand, could get acquired, or it'll be something we fold into Emblem Vault itself. So it'll be something that we kind of are monitoring. In terms of the equity, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I would say the token itself, Hustle, is probably independent of the equity, since the company itself is called Cross-Chain Ventures. That's essentially a holding company of the three, right? So that obviously has a lot more value than the token itself, or at least right now the token has more value. But as users grow, the enterprise value of a company like that it generally grows independently of the token value. Although you would like to do something like the token has equity or the token has governance, which is definitely something we consider. We really just kind of have to evaluate the situation once the the Clarity Act is installed and we kind of understand more what the rules are. But we plan to continue to integrate Hustle into all of our applications. There's going to be future possibilities of how the company grows, in what direction. Right, Emblem Vault is kind of the L1 of all of this. It's the vaulting infrastructure. I kind of posted this yesterday that Layer 0 finally built a competitor for Emblem Vault. It was something we'd been looking for between them and Wormhole for 5 years almost at this point, or at least since I joined. Was wondering when there would ever be an Emblem Vault competitor, and that does seem to be one. I know ApeChain also kind of built one as well using Layer 0. So the market's now finally coming around to this idea of a vaulting protocol, which I actually think is more valuable than Hustle and Migratefun combined on a longer term scale. I actually think Emblem Vault could be, and I've said this many times over the years, that could be one of the most valuable companies in the crypto industry, because it is essentially the distribution channel for assets. It's a shipping company at the end of the day. And when you look historically, when you look currently today, the global GDP of the international and domestic shipping industry is about 7.5% of global GDP. So it accounts for almost $10 trillion in global GDP. And so if you apply that to crypto and you say this is a shipping layer, the market size for that, as crypto continues to expand, will probably be much larger than that. And Emblem Vault's a leader in that category that competes against Layer 0 and Wormhole, who both have, upwards of $1 billion in funding and over 100 employees each. Where Emblem Vault's, right, just a team of 9 guys at this point. And so we're doing pretty well there. And right, the question is, does that spin off to be its own thing, or do these all kind of group to be the same? It's really hard to know, but the thing that we know today is that we have a bunch of hustlers who like all 3 products, and they all use the variety of different things. And we're going to be able to finally combine all of these communities together once they're all given their hustle tokens over the next few months. And from there, with an aligned community, I think 2026 will probably show some signals on what the correct direction is to go.
Yeah, man, and you guys actually have something with Hustle to where having a text way of doing these transfers actually a lot easier, right? Instead of like having to go to Wormhole and connect your wallet, you guys can potentially use Emblem Vault inside. Well, maybe have Hustle over there to where you guys are just, hey, send this here, send this there type of thing. And the Wormhole and the Layer 0, they don't have anything like that right now.
It's interesting as Adam and I and team members talk with these different blockchain foundations or these different service providers for Agent Hustle. And a lot of times as we're talking to them, we've actually built the service already internally for this like one specific thing that they are offering. And so sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult to use these ancillary services or third-party services, because we've done a lot of the heavy lifting through Emblem Vault already. Right, we use Lit protocol on the bottom for our trusted execution environment, which is the same thing kind of what ICP and Near offer, as well as a few other ones. And Lit protocol seem to be the best. And on top of this, we have the multi-chain wallet, which is Emblem Vault, which is essentially its own Privy, which obviously Privy got acquired for like $200 or $300 million. we've built that already, right? We don't need to do it. It's all independent. I actually think Emblem offers more utility than Privy does, because we can integrate Bitcoin, and we can do Bell's coin. We can do all of these kind of non-EVM, SVM type ecosystems, like just out of the box. So from that standpoint, everything is kind of really built, and Agent Hustle is now becoming a premier AI tool for token discovery. We've kind of found our lane on what Agent Hustle is, which is discover tokens intelligently and trade autonomously. And so discovering tokens is first, and we're going to continue to expand chains. We're actually working on ETH mainnet, as well as a partnered blockchain foundation that will be released, and information about that will be live at some point. And from there, then we're going to expand to, Base and Hyperliquid and kind of all of the other ones. Stacks community has been in big support of us, right? And continue to kind of expand in the right areas to where our community can discover tokens on any chain with a click of a button. And so, like, for example, if 1 week you have Tron meme coins popping off, users could click one button and now they're on Tron. They don't have to go download the Tron wallet, web extension, send money in, whatever. You can do this all in one kind of simple interface. And I think that is the future of crypto UX, rather than having all of these different wallets. Like, I have literally 10 different wallet extensions downloaded, and it's just extremely painful. Whereas Hustle, you get it all in one nice little interface, and you could swap between all of the tokens and ecosystems with a click of a button.
I love that. That's what we need in the space. Also, I feel like these investment companies are kind of like in that early .com phase, to where they're throwing like hundreds of millions of dollars at like, companies or projects that might have their foot in this reason or that reason, but they're taking risk here, because if you remember, you might not remember, but if anybody remembers, during that phase, there was a lot of investment companies that threw money at .com companies that didn't pan out. But then the ones that were like, had the passion and continually pushed and built and had the space. And one thing I love about y'all's team is the cross-chain experience is just crazy there. Like Adam Bell's coin, right? Big UTXO. You guys all have the UTXO experience. You all have the EVM experience. Now you guys have the SVM experience. And, I know that you guys have plans probably to go into other new blockchains. Those are the companies that I think the investors, when they place their bets, whenever they do, they'll pay out well for them.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, we've talked with a lot of VCs over the years, and it just seems like the Emblem ecosystem is just too much to comprehend for a lot of them. And again, it really just comes down to, we have a token, and a lot of these VCs, they want equity and token, and in that our current situation, that doesn't exist. And the intelligent ones understand the vision, but they're looking for just upside, right? A lot of these VCs are not actually VCs, are more hedge funds disguised as VCs, who are just looking for outsized gains and nothing really else. So, we'll continue to have conversations. I had a conversation with 2 VCs in the last week. And so the networking opportunity is good, and also to put it on their radar, to kind of also understand their experience. But we're just at the stage now where we want to work with people who want to work with us, and I'm done kind of chasing around people to work with. You either come with us or you don't. And that's just how we do it. And we're just going to continue to hustle.
Yeah, man, 100%. I want to move it back to Migratefun real quick. So, it does, from the outside looking in, it does seem like you guys are moving a lot of these projects to Bonk.fun. Is this something? Has teams contact you about potentially going to other places? Because it does feel like Pump is winning the Launchpad battle again. And are you guys open to taking anyone anywhere?
So yeah, it's been pretty interesting working with the Bonk.fun and Radium teams over the last 2 months or so. Right when we first started Migratefun, we reached out to every team, or all the major ones, to see who responded. Radium was the only one who responded. They saw the vision, and then they brought in Bonk.fun because Bonk.fun was interested. And we've had to go through a bunch of the business development as well as technical implementations to satisfy, the 100+ teams that we've talked with, to ensure that all of their needs are met. Not all of them are, because it's a small time window. But over the last few weeks, conversations have evolved. Teams kind of take on their own duties, and now we're somewhat in discussion with pretty much every major team, understanding where their views are, as well as not just on Solana, but also a bunch of teams that are on Base, as well as one other chain, kind of. And we're just going to go wherever the demand is. We want to be a neutral third party. We previously, when we first started, asked for exclusive partnerships or exclusive relationships, as well as co-marketing. And, our current partners have not seemed that was something of their interest. So we're just going to continue working with people who want to work with us. That's just the best thing that I can say. And we are in conversations with pretty much everybody at this time, and understanding, what their needs are. Between all of the major players on Solana, they all kind of have different wants and needs and different market size potentials. And so we're just going to evaluate it day by day. But there are conversations ongoing.
Oh, so there could be a cohort in the future where one project goes to Bonk to Pump, one project goes to Pump to Bags, one project goes to Bank from Bags to this place. So you could have just absolutely anyone going anywhere during one cohort.
It's possible, right? So there's kind of two directions to build Migratefun first, right? It's, do you open it up to the public after this first group, or do you just continue doing cohorts? Gotcha. But then on the second side of it, I kind of looked through Solana's ecosystem. Maybe this exists on Ethereum, but I was looking for products that, place themselves within a competitive nature, that they can be kind of this neutral third party. I don't know too many of these that exist. And obviously putting ourselves between kind of three giants, right? Between kind of the Pump team, Jupiter, who owns Meteora, and Radium, who Bonk uses Radium, right? There's obviously, it's very hyper competitive there. And some of these teams have kind of bad blood between one another. So, if we do continue to partner with other teams who want to partner with us, it's a territory we're going to have to find out on how these other ones respond. I mean, on one side, we can bring business to all of these. And on one side, we could take away business. But for us, we don't see it that way. It's just for helping teams migrate to ecosystems that they want to be a part of, that best represents their interests. And it's really just as simple as that. And if other teams are, feel threatened by it, we'll have to have that conversation with them to see, how it could be remedied or how we can continue. But ultimately, as I've learned, and as we've learned over building with Emblem the last 3 years, is that you don't really know until you try. And a lot of times there's a lot of opportunity on one side, where maybe you're afraid to go down because it may be something that deters current business. But, it really comes down to the fuck around, find out.
Got a couple comments in here. Duster says, Jake the man. And then we got a couple questions as well from our guy, Stan. But before that, Soul Maverick says, can't spell flywheel without hustle. I don't know where those letters fit in, but I agree with you. And then we got Stan says, Hyperliquid's the bee's knees of the current cycle. Does Agent Hustle feel pressure in mimicking their exact steps, or is Hustle today totally focused on the goals set? So I think he's referring more to the revenue share buyback or whatever that Hyperliquid does.
Yeah, everyone wants buybacks, but ultimately for 99% of teams, buybacks is not a good option. Obviously, it makes the token price go up, but you have to be able to consider runway for the team, right, to ensure that the team exists. So obviously there's always going to be pressure from token holders. Token holders want price to go up at any cost. They don't care if it hurts, if it's detrimental to the team's long-term growth. They just want numbers to go up, right? And so we're managing it all in ways that we can. Hyperliquid set a great standard. Pump is also kind of doing it. Radium's also has a pretty good buyback model as well. And hey, there's a handful of other teams. And so, we're going to apply the current tokenomics that are popular across the industry in ways that are relative to us.
Yeah, that makes sense too. And also remember, guys, Hyperliquid didn't do that right from the jump. They built their business model, started making revenue. Then they had their token airdrop way down the line, and then they implemented it. Same thing with Pump. Pump didn't start doing that until way after they made already probably like $800 million, right? So you have to have that business model, and then kind of put in those features, in my opinion, personally. Second question is, would Justin Sun be a saint or a sinner for future Agent Hustle investment? Thanks.
I'll talk to him. I'll talk to anybody. Obviously, he has, I guess you would say, kind of a checkered past, but he's also a participant in the industry, and he obviously is in charge of Tron as well. And I will literally talk to anybody. It doesn't mean that I'll work with them, but I think it's important to hear them out. So he could be a saint or a sinner.
Yeah.
100%. And my last thing here would be the Hustle token. It did get huge upward momentum in this candle here when that announcement happened. So it does feel like at least the community is very happy with your decision to kind of go away from keys, and more focus will be the Hustle token, and especially for the time being. So what you're doing is definitely sending the token higher. So definitely keep doing that. No, I'm just kidding. So it's absolutely awesome. And you guys are on a really good path right now with everything. And yeah, it's phenomenal, Jake. It's really phenomenal what you guys have done here. So
yeah, chart looks pretty good. Obviously needs to go much higher, which we'll try to accrue as much value to it as possible. But tough to see what the market will do. And yeah, we'll see from here. We just got to continue hustling.
Yeah. Is there any maybe updates that we haven't hit on during this segment here that could maybe excite the audience, or just educate them with Hustle or Emblem, or anything that you guys are working on?
I'd say that if you want to download your Hustle PFP, you could use Aura Tracker. To just clarify, Aura Tracker is not an Emblem product; it's a partnered product. Our tracker was created by one of the Emblem team members, but the product is solely owned by him. It's not part of Cross-Chain Ventures itself. So just to put that kind of clarification out there. But it works pretty well, and it's a cool kind of experiment. And yeah, you could go there, click generate Aura card, put it as your PFP. And I mean, even if you just go down and look at like all of the recent Aura gainers, I guess you could see a lot of them have a Hustle PFP. So it's a cool way to signal that you're a hustler, as well as gives marketing to the value, and obviously accrues value and interest because people start seeing these PFPs and wondering what the hell it actually is. And yeah, I would say the Aura tracker is cool. Emblem Vault itself, people have kind of tried to understand what it actually is. Its first use case is an NFT bridge. You could say the first application of it was for historical NFTs. The future of Emblem is actually much larger, which I've been saying. It's a vaulting protocol. And seeing Larry Zero come in and basically say that, it's $1 trillion product, like that was something that we've been saying for years at this point. And so I still think that Emblem is the largest product in the wheelhouse, but we want to cross-pollinate Hustle and Emblem Vault, and potentially Migratefun as well, right? Because what Emblem Vault is at the end of the day is it's a crypto logistics company. It helps you move assets from one place to another. What you could do with vaults are all kinds of things with like AI-enabled vault yield generation capabilities and whatever kind of buzzword you want to throw in there. That's all kind of possible. But I think we really have a tech stack that is highly competitive, and eventually will be really sought after by somebody who kind of really realizes the value. But so we have Migratefun that's coming. Agent Hustle is in its expansion era. We got adding a lot of intelligent features to improve the quality of Agent Hustle with some of the outputs, as well as the tool selections and various things like that. We want to get Agent Hustle to a way to where it's intelligently automated, and we're getting the steps there. And we hired a new developer recently who had worked with us in the past, so the chemistry is there, and he's doing a really good job at helping us get there. So it's going to be really exciting times. And yeah, just stay tuned. Just buy Hustle if you believe in the ecosystem. and follow all of the products for the future of interoperability.
Awesome. Appreciate that breakdown. There was one thing Shizzy and I were talking about. Would you ever consider integrating like a chat into Agent Hustle to where the users can kind of form groups or communities within the product, or would you always keep that kind of external?
It's something that we've actually discussed. That was actually an idea that Chris wanted to do. The thing that we've seen though is when you add public chats to these type of products, it just ends up being spam and like kind of Xbox Live style things. But we do have, I think what you're hitting on is this idea of like people want to be able to share prompts and strategies and such like that.
Yeah.
We do have a idea to how to do this in a tokenized matter that leverages Hustle, but I think we just need more users on the platform itself. So I think once we get around 1,000 daily active users, right now it kind of hovers between 100 to 200. So if we could get like a 5x of daily active users, then we could go in and create this kind of tokenized idea that uses Hustle. But until then, I think expansion is the best way to go there, and adding these different types of social features. So I would recommend just going and joining Maverick's trading group. He's doing a really good job, and there's a lot of people in there sharing prompts and strategies. So if you are somebody who wants to, it's Soul Maverick, I think is his handle's like Crazy Crypto or something like that. Go into his trading group and talk with them, and they will definitely get you situated with the best possible inputs as well as strategies about how to use Hustle.
Yeah, real quick with the chat idea though, if you need a subscription to be able to enter the chat, wouldn't that kind of push out a lot of the spam and stuff like that, and actually potentially bring in more people to the subscription model?
Yeah. If you put it at that level, like above the free.
Yeah, that could help and fold it into the subscription. So that's a good idea. I mean, one of the things that we're considering is expanding the Hustle subscription service to Emblem Vault and to Migratefun, but then you also have to figure out like, how does that actually work, right? Because we have this idea of like, you want as many elite subscriptions as possible. And so you want to add all of these supplemental features there. I think we're going to be adding a few of the first kind of subscription premium offerings to Hustle here in the next week or two. Once that new intelligent feature update comes, and we're just going to continue adding new offerings across all the applications to the Hustle subscribers. So that is what we want, right? That's an easy way to revenue, as well as it's shown historically that all of these major companies have all of these major kind of traditional finance companies have a subscription service of some type. And that's what gets them to where they need to be to scale. And that's exactly where we want to be as well.
Yeah, man. Well, this has been absolutely awesome, Jake, man. Really appreciate your time. I know you're very busy, but if there's anything you haven't said yet, stage is yours.
Just buy Hustle, man. Join the Hustlers Revolution and stay tuned. We have to do the whole keys kind of stuff or transition here in the next few months, but that doesn't stop the product development. So join the movement and continue to hustle.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Jake. And we will talk to you next week.
Yeah. See you guys. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Too, buddy. Well, absolutely amazing as always, man. That was awesome, dude. I love that segment every single week. Hanging with Hustle, or what is it? Hanging with Hustle Hour. Absolutely amazing. Really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. But amazing show today. We got 1,600 people. Most of you guys are hanging with us from from Jake's X account. So absolutely amazing. Come check us out at OnChain Revolution as well.
Yeah, for sure. Super excited about like future announcements too. And again, like the experience on that team is just top notch, right? Cross chain too. They're not stuck in one ecosystem with their knowledge and all that stuff. So super excited about the future of Hustle. But we appreciate all you guys hanging out with us, each and every one of you guys. Without y'all, we would not be able to do this. We always emphasize that because we are very grateful for y'all. Without our partners, we couldn't do it as well. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate it. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for runes or alkanes in the Bitcoin ecosystem, you got to do it at satsterminal.com. Why? Because you will earn Amber points, and Amber points are an XP point system that are going to go towards a give back for early adopters of the platform. right? So how can you earn that? Connecting your wallet for the first time, you get a bonus. After that, making transactions on there. You can make small transactions, whatever you need to do, you can get those Amber points. Also, they have their borrowing and lending product that's going to allow you to borrow against your Bitcoin and earn with what you get from that, right? You can restake that or whatever strategy you have. If you want to be a part of their beta test group for that product, go to their X account at Sats Terminal on X and message them, let them know you want to be a part of that group. But head over to satsterminal.com to learn more today. And then Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer for the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump your Bitcoin ordinals or counterparty NFTs over to Ethereum, you can do so right now. And the Gandhi application, which is the borrowing and lending app on Ethereum, which is the largest one, you can take out a loan against your Taproot Wizard. So I'm sure they're going to open up to other collections over there as well. And Emblem's going to open up to other environments like other Ethereum layer 2s, possibly a Bitcoin layer 2 like Merlin. And Solana is on that list. We know that as we talked to the team about that. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in the Solana ecosystem with AI Agent Hustle. We just talked about them this past hour, right? Hustle is an awesome AI LLM kind of specified on crypto trading, more specifically right as of right now, Solana. So you can ask Hustle, hey, find me a couple 2 to 5x plays. He'll bring back some options for you and tell you why he thinks these are good plays. Also, Hustle has conditional trading functionality now too. You can say, hey, buy Fart Coin when it drops 30%, sell it when I'm up 150%, and then you can go do your stuff. He'll take care of it for you. There is a subscription model for Hustle. So the free option does give you some tools, but you don't get all of them. But you can get a discount if you pay in Hustle as well. For the paid subscriptions, you get all like more and more tools as you go up the ladder there. Also, they have a product within the ecosystem called Migratefun. So if you launch a token on one of the launch pads on Solana and you want to migrate to another launch pad or just manage your LP, you got to go through Migratefun. They will walk you through the process. It's seamless. It's easy. If you reach out to the Emblem team, they will talk to you on possibly how to get into either the next cohort, or they open it up for the public and you could just participate that way. So head over to emblem.vision to learn more today. And then we have Artura.finance, which is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for synthetic Bitcoin fungibles, they will have that available soon in the near future. You can swap for Dog of the Moon, Ordi, Sats, possibly $1 billion cat, and maybe some of these Sparks tokens if they get popular and the demand is there. They will also be adding synthetic derivatives like MicroStrategy and Coinbase. I think those are really the ones that are going to be next up and very unique to our, the crypto space. So probably the only place you're going to be able to trade those. Also, you can earn points by trading on the platform from Artura as well as Botanics, because Botanics is tracking transactions on their chain, and that's where Artura is live right now. And on the Artura.finance platform, there is a trading competition. First place gets 5,000 USDC. And then if you get second and third, I believe you get a shared prize with the rest and 20,000 ARI tokens as well. Shizzy got knocked out of the first place. I think it was probably one of you guys because we told you to do it yesterday. It wasn't me. I actually just now got into the green with my trades. But it's really fun, guys. So make sure you're taking advantage of this as well. Head over to Artura.finance to learn more today. And then we have Tokyo Wallet. Tokyo Wallet is the multi-chain smart wallet. They support Bitcoin, Cardano, and Sui. They've partnered with DEX aggregators to make it possible for you guys to swap for Bitcoin runes, Cardano tokens, and Sui tokens. If you have an iPhone, head over to the Apple App Store. If you have an Android, head over to the Google Play Store. Download the application. Try it out. Let us know your feedback. We'll let the team know. This team is constantly grinding. They're finishing up their Sui Sync Spaces campaign, and I'm sure they're going to add another environment probably very soon. But follow them on their X account so you can stay tuned with latest updates there. You can also see a YouTube alpha section on their app. You'll find our channel and other channels there too. They have staking within the applications as well. You can stake the native token right there in the application. Head over to Tokyo.io today. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They have their new AI version 2.0 out, and you can do cross-chain DeFi functionalities directly from your Merlin Chain wallet. All you need is some Bitcoin in that Merlin Chain wallet, and you can buy Solana tokens. You can buy BNB tokens and other environments that they integrate into their AI. Also, you can do DeFi functionalities like staking and swapping. Speaking of staking, if you want to be a part of their proof of stake environment there on Merlin Chain, there's 3 options. You can stake Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. You get on average 16% APR, so really great APR there. It does close September 30th, so you probably missed out some days, but you still have 18 days left for that before it closes, but I'm sure they will open a new one, but get confirmation before that happens. Also, there's 2 options for staking the Merlin Chain token. The flexible, which is a day-to-day, you get to earn 15% APR, and you can claim those rewards daily and compound interest those. If you do withdraw, it does take 7 days for a cooldown period to withdraw on the flexible. Now, there is also the bonded option, which you earn a much higher APR, 45% APR, but it is locked up for 6 months. Again, you can claim those rewards daily and compound interest those as well. Head over to merlinchain.io to learn more there and try out their wizard. It is released the latest version there. And then our last partner to go over is our guys from Ordinal Hive, the fastest ordinal marketplace in all of ordinals. If you buy an ordinal, you get it right away. If you sell it, they are working on getting that Bitcoin right to you right now. I think you do have to wait a block or so. But also, they have amazing trader tools as well. You can do live mempool insights and try to grab something that was mispriced. And they did mint out their collection, their B collection, I think a week and a half ago. So you can check that out as well. It's on their platform there. And stay tuned to their Hive token because they're going to be dropping more information there. Head over to ordinalhive.io to learn more. Thank you guys so much for checking us out all week. We really appreciate it, man.
Yep. Great job, man. That, as always, you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io. Some of the best articles going all the way back to 2023. I'm sure there's a bunch of Emblem Vault articles in there as well. You guys can get caught up on everything you guys need in your everyday life and all through one site. And that's what we got here at OnChain Revolution. If you guys need a VPN, we have the NordVPN. Highly recommend it, guys. It is absolutely amazing. It's my personal favorite. I use it each and every day. You come here, you get 77% off of the VPN. You get it for $3.09. It is stupid to be on the internet without a VPN. I mean, honestly, guys, I use it every single day. I have it on my phone and every computer. I locked it in for 2 years. I think it was like $66. Set it, forget it, be done with it, and then you have a VPN potentially for a very long time. In crypto, that's like 10 years is too. So you definitely want a VPN and use Nord. And if you guys are interested in merch, we have everything you guys need: hats, jackets, school bags, shirts, anything possible is here, guys. And if you guys want us to add something, just let us know. We can add your PFP, or we can pretty much add anything to our store here, and you can buy it, other people can buy it as well. Just let us know if you would like us to add something or anything. But Shizzy, can you make a Bitcoin shirt that looks like this? Yeah, I can make anything for you guys and have it on the front page of the store. Just let us know what you guys would like, and then check out everything we have here as well. But guys, remember, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until Monday,
peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.